capitalism, all of the gains in automation, it goes to the owner class. All you have to do is have everyone be an owner, and now suddenly any gain in automation is a gain for everybody. If you grow just one thing, it may not grow as well as if it grows with another thing. A good example of that is called the Three Sisters method of farming.
There is definitely multi-apartment buildings or multi-families that do passive design.
$100 million that they gave to Joe Rogan that they would kind of be out if they breach contract. Is that a bigger number? Or is 2 billion a bigger number?
I don't know, Zach.
It's a tough one. I
It's
know.
really hard.
And maybe comparing numbers is not Jeremy's strong suit. Gotta go kill a Jenny.
I still don't think you should kill her. I don't think it's a good idea.
It's a ghost, dude. Welcome back, everybody, to Bread Theory. So, an unusual stream tonight. Thursday night is not my usual night to do it, but had a bunch of family in town this weekend, so things got kind of shifted around because of that. But Dan Platt of the Three Left Show and What's Left in Albany was gracious enough to reschedule. So here we are tonight together, back in the saddle talking about utopias. This time we're going to talk a little bit about the solidarity economy.
Yes.
How you doing tonight, Dan?
Oh, pretty good. As tired as I usually am.
Yeah.
Pains of being an adult, but also just working full time and having side projects on the side. My task as my role as a treasurer of my union local is in full swing, and I kind of hate it, but it's good experience. An opportunity I couldn't say no to, as I say. I'll do it for a year, and I don't think I'll feel bad dropping it. We don't have good language for this. Maybe FD Signifier could come up with something. A term for the boomer black woman who's conservative. And they're the ones who survived, I mean, they're old enough to, because they reached middle class status, and they did so, and maybe because of survivorship bias or a bunch of other things. The only way they can seem to justify themselves why they made it and the rest of the hood didn't is bootstrap theory. So they are very much big bootstrap theory believers, and they're the main voting bloc for the black community, as it's called, but it's one community among many other black communities. Right. So there's the conservative,
very small demographic,
conservative black middle class, and maybe a different community, which is maybe overlap, but not really, are the under 40 middle class black people who are, Black Wall Street. And so they also have something of a bootstrap theory mentality, despite also trying to have all these community beliefs, and we do it together in collective action kind of things. And there's a lot of dissidence in it.
Right. Yeah, this is kind of the hardcore end of the black owned businesses, the black capitalism sort of wing.
What are they really making? Most you can ask it of all entrepreneurism. They don't make anything. It was just like brains over real work, because neoliberalism in finance does not give a shit about what we're making. It actually puts stock into, David Graeber can explain it better than me. It's a video I'm going to hold in the tank, and we'll go through that. And I think that's going to be
cool.
Important. That's a good one.
I always love his stuff.
I was listening to it today, and it was so dense. It literally has like a stamp for every minute, because it's just he's going so fast. He covers so much in short. Like it's like a good point every minute, and because he's condensing basically all of his books into one talk.
Oh, jeez.
1 10-minute
his
thing.
Books are pretty thick as it is. Some of them.
Yeah, well, it's just an overview of his entire career almost. But basically, the sum up is democratic practice is kind of the way out. We can't do any of these new economy things unless we're doing them democratically, and they kind of change people's mindset to being out of capitalism. So, whether it's the collective action, the opposition to bureaucratic neoliberalism is doing democracy, actually practicing it, whether
Yeah.
it's in a direct action sense or a direct democracy sense,
Hmm.
which might be my segue into this year's ContraPoints video,
Yeah.
which is not so
This
much a
year's.
video
Oh man.
essay, as much as a video paper. And if it
Hmm.
was a college paper, I would give it a B minus.
I thought it was solid. I enjoyed the history of I can't remember her
Yeah.
name now. The Florida lady.
Anita, was it Anita
Yeah.
something? Anita
That
Hill?
sounds right.
No,
No,
Anita
that
Hill's
wasn't
the
Anita Hill. That was the
yeah, that's the
Clarence Thomas.
secretary. Yeah. Well,
Um,
regardless, um, when you reach part 8, if you have part 8 parts in your video,
mhm.
I think it could have just to get a constructive critique. It needed to be 2 or 3 videos, stronger thesis for each one. I know I was making this comment. It got actually like 25 likes on this one Facebook page, so I was
Uh-huh.
feeling pretty good about it. Feeling seen, and it
Yeah.
was that putting out. It's like she's called ContraPoints, not the one point. She's not going to
Yeah.
have a thesis that she sticks to,
Right.
and people want her to have a thesis or conclusion. And it was the meme where it's just like the beginning of the beginning of a ContraPoints video is this well fleshed out drawing of a horse, and then like the conclusion is like a stick figure horse, and because she goes back and forth between like direct action gets the goods, but
Mhm.
also we need to do civility politics um and she does some ID poll, liberal ID poll is
Yeah.
kind of what she leans on to say, uh, I'm not going to include rolling in the patriarchy because she's a victim. But it's like, well, then you could say that about all the men. They're all victims of patriarchy.
Yeah. Right.
But then, like,
Definitely
you're making,
complicit in holding it up.
and this is where people like say lefties, radical ones, online ones get
Mhm.
mad because it's making an argument to not fight anyone. If you make it,
Was that her
that's
argument though, or was it more we need to be a little more focused on the real baddies and just kind of let
the men are the real baddies, the women
or
aren't the real
not even
baddies.
the romance. She brought up that other horrible reactionary woman who was just also a white supremacist
Right,
and
but
married
then
to
when she lists off the people we should be focusing on and not ignore, it's the men.
hmm.
But there are also Republican women who are part of doing the law thing. So
Yeah.
it's an odd thing that was being pointed out. And again, it's her style. It's from like I get these like little creeps of like, does she only respond to things when they personally affect her? Because like when she does the video on a topic that doesn't seem to affect her, she doesn't really care about, she will get even more muddled with what her thesis is or the thesis is she would present, because it's almost like she's not steel manning each of them.
Hmm.
Like the climate crisis one or the climate change video where it also just felt like, well, you can't, she would keep repeating like, but I like stuff. And I know it's meant to be almost self-deprecating or something, but
Yeah.
like when she repeated the joke the 10th time, I'm like, this sounds like something you're actually believing. Like, oh no, we do want to consume, and I don't want to sacrifice anything, especially when it's capitalism as a system. But
Hmm.
was she even using capitalism as a word? Because in the next video, maybe not the next one, is the envy one, where she ignores material analysis and completely makes everything psychoanalytical, I guess.
Hmm.
And she did it again in this video sometimes. She didn't do it the whole time, but she would kind of lean on these movements need a devil. I
Yeah.
need a citation for that. I'm sorry, just listing some examples is not enough. That's
Yeah.
high school level essay writing. Listing a bunch of examples and saying that's my argument. Movements need a devil.
Yeah. And I think if we're going to
And the
oppose
devil's
these,
always a woman. I mean, that's what, like, okay. As
well,
if
that's
all of the
true.
Trump for like
I would
what? How are you
I,
thinking
I
on
would
that?
say that if she was referring only to reactionary movements, well, yeah, they always need a devil because they have to conjure up some reason why they're being oppressed and scapegoat all of their problems onto it. Uh, if she's talking about pushing back against systemic oppression, well, having a devil is just a distraction, really. It's like we can spend all our time bashing Elon Musk or any reactionary Ben Shapiro, whatever,
Yeah.
but they don't control the system. Like individually, each of them has very little control over the
Yes.
system as a
Not
whole.
neither does Rawling, but I
Right.
think the she did go kind of conclude that like we do fight them. We don't win by debating. We don't secure rights by debating. We
Yeah, you win
fight.
by changing the system. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
right.
systemic change has to happen
And
in order to win.
and I guess she needed maybe a part 9 where she goes into how systemic change occurred through direct action or how it didn't occur via direct action,
Yeah.
which
Probably
will
thought the
probably
video was
be
getting long enough as it was. So,
yeah, because she would need to go on tangents
yeah.
to direct it, like turn things back to her and her online lived experience, which is annoying for me. When you always kind of reframe everything around like the toxicity of online culture,
Yeah.
that's what kind of feels like to me. So, okay, enough of that. I dropped the links for the solidarity economy. I'm going to keep
Yeah.
going with
Which one do you
the
want to do first? We got circular
I'm
economy and
putting
we have ILO.
do the circular economy one
Okay.
since that is oh okay, right. Okay, so this is all right. Circular economy is not a solidarity economy video. It's actually one that will be probably critiquing a little because it's an old video from with a kind of what's the German climate change tube who makes the animation and he's funded by the Gates Foundation, crowd something.
Ooh, I
But
don't know.
it sort of reminds me of those videos with the animation style, um, and it has a corporate kind of sheen to it. But it's displaying the concept of the circular economy, and it's sort of like it feels like it could play. Well, not just feels; it is used in greenwashing at times. As I covered an article where a company was like a big food company was experimenting with circular economy stuff, but they were just piloting. They were doing pilots to test it out.
Okay.
What company was it? It wasn't Kraft. It was like one of the big food companies, and it's like we're gonna try having metal tins for like we're gonna sell the ice cream that it's one of the many brands they have, but put it in a metal container that you bring back to the store. And like it's not
Sure.
recycled, it's about reusing
Reusing,
packaging,
yeah.
reusable packaging, not just packaging you hold like the jars and you bring your jar for the ice cream and then you fill the jar up and there's your gallon of ice cream for the week.
Hmm.
um More like the packaging is reusable. Could that be
Sure.
maintained, or what the logistics would that how would that work?
Yeah. How will that even work? Okay, cool. Well, let's get into it.
Hi, Alex here. Today's video is about circular economy. It is a
Oh wait,
term that
no,
we hear a lot these days.
this isn't the sorry, this isn't. I think I typed it in and found this video that was better.
Okay.
I'm not saying stop it. I'm just saying
Oh.
this isn't the corporate animated one. This is
Oh, okay. So you want to
a
still continue
yeah,
with this one?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I just don't know how if it like should go first or not, but we'll just go from there.
Okay.
You can see he has diagrams like I would have.
Yeah, nice.
I was asked many times to make a video about it, so here it is. I will explain what we mean by circular economy. I will go through all the things we can do to go from our current economy to a circular one, and I will use many examples. If you stay until the end, I will share a book with you that you can read to learn more about it. You will see there is way more to it than just recycling. Okay, let's get drawing. When my son was 3 years old and asking his mommy what was this circular economy thing she was working on, here is what she told him. It is when everything is healthy food for something else. So simple and sweet. I loved it. In other words, it means running the economy like nature runs its own business. Plants use carbon dioxide and nutrients to grow and produce oxygen. Animals use oxygen and create carbon dioxide and nutrients. Nothing is wasted. It is a closed-loop system. Circular economy is generally opposed to the linear economy, take, make, waste, we have been running for many years. Some people also use the term cradle to cradle as opposed to cradle to grave. As explained in my triple bottom line video, the economy is part of society, which is part of the environment. You can click here if you want to watch this video. Now let's look at the economy. We can split into two categories the things that we need to run into closed loops. Technical materials, biological materials. Technical materials have this typical life cycle. Raw materials are mined, the product is manufactured, then it is transported to be used until the end of its life.
I don't think I've actually pre-watched this, so here we are. But it definitely incorporates a lot of the ideas covered in my education.
I remember hearing about the triple bottom line.
Well, the triple bottom line has almost gone mainstream, and you have corporations, or at least B Corps, mentioning it, where what happens is, though, because they're still working in a market economy, they are saying they have a triple bottom line, but they're still focused on the economic bottom line.
Right.
Like it's there's still a hierarchy in play of what's important. So even though it's like, oh, the environment bottom line comes first, they'll, as long as they're using dollars, that's not actually what's happening in practice.
Yeah. Yep. Ends up becoming more marketing than anything.
It's not their
fault. We
fault,
often tend to think about the end of life and the importance of recycling, and this is true. But for our economy to be circular, there are many things we can do before the end of life. It starts with using resources that are already extracted. Say my product needs copper. It is best to mine copper that is not used anymore, that we also call post-consumer, as opposed to mining some new one from the ground. Especially when you know that 1. Copper is predicted to be mined out worldwide by 2040, and 2. Processing recycled copper uses only 10 to 20% of the energy it takes to process new copper from virgin ore. When manufacturing my product, I can design it so it can easily be dismantled and the copper can easily be recycled next time. I can also manufacture my product so it lasts a long time, so it can be maintained and repaired. I can design it so it uses as little energy as possible. This TED video uses a great example of a tea kettle and the fact that during commercial break of a popular TV show, England has to buy nuclear power from France because millions of people go to the kitchen at the same time to boil an entire 2-liter kettle to make 1 cup of tea. Once a product cannot be used anymore, then it needs to be collected and recycled.
Yeah.
Did they boil that much water for 1 cup of tea? Or do they have the water and I guess they're just reheating the same water or the same tea?
Maybe so, but like, has Keurig not made it over to the UK yet?
Well, Keurig is wasteful on its own.
I know. You can get reusable K-cups, though. That is a thing. But,
I can believe that, but I don't see them on store shelves. Or
no.
When I was a home shopper,
go out of your way.
When I was a home shopper, most coffee people were buying were the cups, and I hated every minute of picking up like each of those fucking boxes, knowing all the trash that was being made.
Oh, absolutely.
Killed me.
Here comes an important question. Does the recycled material maintain its quality to be used for similar applications, or is it downcycled into a material that has a poorer quality? Downcycled was a term from the book Cradle to Cradle. You can find a link in the description below. Remember, in a circular economy, everything is healthy food for something else. Nothing goes to landfill. Biological
it's hard to reuse something. So yeah, the downside that's downcycling is due to when something is used, it usually degrades in some way.
Yeah.
So you can't really especially plastics, but it goes for anything like say a wooden pallet. You can't
Yep.
you can use a wooden pallet for so long, and then the wood starts cracking, or the
Yeah,
nails
the
start wearing
fibers
things
break
through.
down.
So
Mhm.
you can't just take a wood pallet when it's at the end of its life and build something functional out of it. Maybe you
Right.
can, but you almost have to repair the wood and stuff. What can you
Right.
do with the broken wood?
Mhm.
Chip it down in the mulch, I guess, but that's I guess a
Sure.
form of downcycling, because that
Mhm.
then will be turned into dirt eventually. So
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that Cradle to Cradle. I actually have that book. I haven't read it all, but the guy who wrote
shame.
it, William McDonough, he became basically just a corporate consultant, and he was trying to do this like end to end. Everything that you make has to either biodegrade or be able to be used for generations. So I'm not sure where he's at now these days, but
Yeah, well, they become culture. So many of these, good idea book writers, they become
mhm.
corporate consultants, because that's how they see applying their ideas to the higher
Yeah,
scale
yeah,
and
yeah.
having the most impact. And yet, because of the logic of capital, they're just not uh, expanded upon and practiced properly, or they're brought on as a consultant, but for greenwashing purposes, they get jaded. They don't. Maybe they join a movement, but it's I you just feel like you wonder what else they could have done
Right.
in this capitalist realism, or is it because they suffer from capitalist realism?
Yeah.
Because so
Yeah,
many
it's hard to
hippies
know.
sell out slash become yuppies out of this desire to like make the hippie ethic mainstream, and that meant going into business. But by going into business, they destroy the hippie ethic, or at
Right.
least the intent of it,
Mm-hmm.
or it gets transformed where they feel they're still doing it, even as they are crushing the next generation of free thinkers.
Right. Yeah.
The
End up
song
slamming the
"Love
door.
Me," like the song "Love Me, I'm a Liberal." Once I was young and
Yes.
impulsive, now that's why I'm turning you in.
Yeah. Right. That song is pretty great. I mean, it's very biting, even still, and totally applicable to today's liberals as well.
Well, always.
Yeah. Right.
Farmed or collected, and then possibly processed and transported before reaching the consumer. Once consumed, they can be used to create biogas, biochemicals, or be composted. Finally, they can go back to nature to restore it. But again, in a circular economy, nothing goes to landfill. Two transition strategies can be very helpful as we're trying to create a circular economy: substitution and dematerialization. Substitution is about using different resources to achieve the same goal. For example, the world is running out of lithium. So, unless we can recycle lithium batteries more efficiently, sodium-ion batteries might be a better option for car manufacturers in the future.
What's
Dematerialization
crazy?
refers to
Pause.
using less of a
1
resource.
second. Yes.
So, and what's crazy is we just started using lithium batteries. It's not like this has been some long-standing technology that we're now running out of.
Yeah.
That's what's really stupid about, like, why was lithium chosen in the first place? Because it was
Yeah.
easily extractable or something? It doesn't seem to be, but
Yes, I was also under the impression that lithium batteries were pretty easy to recycle. It's like the material
well,
itself doesn't exactly
who's telling us that?
degrade.
Who's telling us
I
that?
well, yeah, that's true. I don't remember exactly where I heard the source. It could have been,
If it's
yeah.
Elon, then I'm
Well,
not.
definitely was not Elon. He's all about cooling whatever country he can to get the
Because the
as much out of the
sodium
grid as possible.
batteries has been like sodium lighting, though that's a different thing. But
Yeah.
that's been bounced around for a while as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. There was that one, and
Um,
there was also they call it the Edison battery. There was like iron something, and it was infinitely recyclable,
mhm.
supposedly, but
But
also very heavy.
this was kind of bandied about in architecture school in the form of a maybe Danish or Swedish industrial park, where you have 5 different plants slash factories that were each using the waste of the last plant. and they all were kind of using also each other's waste heat at the same time. Now, of course, it doesn't mean it wasn't fully circular because it was still making waste, and it wasn't all like there was output, of sorts. But at least it was making it way more efficient, and there was less resource use overall
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that
I
epic.
mean,
But I think we're covering
freaking
this before more solidarity economy stuff, because even though it's at first glance, this seems like ecology itself is something you can overlay on the current system. But the argument I will make, and maybe I need to find some videos that do a good job of that, but any greenwashing critique video does this. So that's why I did several episodes of my show, like dozens even, greenwashing critique,
yeah.
to make the case that you can't effectively do sustainability within capitalism because it's about the money, it's about return of investment for stockholders, making its purpose is to make money with money, and that means getting something out of nothing. But of course, you're getting it out of something else.
Well, yeah.
And
I mean,
that's the opposite. So
absolutely. Well, if you have a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders, that means you're only going to follow the letter of the law as you have to, but still waste anything that you can, because it's always cheaper just to throw stuff out, just to dump, just to cut corners wherever you can. So yeah, there's a huge financial incentive to just destroy the planet in the name of making money for your shareholders.
Or just your neighborhood. I mean, so much of the litter around my city is admittedly by other people, not just me, it's dumped by suburbanites. Suburban people come and dump their trash here because it's private. Their garbage service is private. It's privatized, so they actually have to pay to dump to take their trash out. Here, this is sort of why. But then, at least to my city, removing garbage cans, for litter and such, like they remove them because too many people were just putting full bags of trash in them. And of course, you could have, a cover on it where you can fit, only
a little bit at a time,
a can in there. But again, they would say people are using them wrong, so we're going to take them out of the hood. So the hood has no garbage cans in them, no litter, no little, And sometimes they'll have two on a corner. You have a four-way intersection, and they'll put two on two corners, and people maybe litter on the two corners that don't have them. And they'll still say that's people using them wrong. It's like, what's the point of having two? Well, again, more is more. Or they had four, but it costs something for the garbage truck to come and empty them.
Jeez.
And it's fuel and stuff to do multiple runs a week or something. So like, it didn't make sense for the fuel cost to pick up and empty every like trash can.
Yeah.
And that's just the whole, we can't afford to have a livable city neoliberalism excuse. And that's something where I'm just so fucking sick. Again, I'm parroting Graeber because it's just brilliance that, for business purposes, you must always pay your debts. You must always make a profit. And you got to keep your promises, your financial promises. When it comes to political promises, no such. Like, no, of course, you're supposed to break political promises to fulfill economic.
No one expects you to.
No, yeah. Well, and then it hurts the democracy, but people love saying they like democracy, but they actually don't know what to do with it. It's secondary.
Yep.
Because after all, feeling good about how you're governed is, second to eating.
Yep.
So that may be a conquest of bread type of conclusion we need to draw about being activists.
But geez, taking out the garbage cans to combat trash.
Well, no. It's just no. It's just the city says we can't afford poor people to have the ability to not litter, basically. But then of course it makes the neighborhoods worse because the litter's there. Yeah. And then everyone's like, well, why are these poor people so trashy? Why don't they clean up after themselves? Why don't they put it in their garbage cans? Well, it's not like the city provides garbage cans. You have to buy them. You have to, and then they get broken if the garbage is picked up, they'll get thrown around by the garbage men.
Yeah.
Although some garbage men are actually kinder than others because one actually stacked our cans together and put them by our stoop.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
somebody is doing a little extra. But maybe the older garbage men, they just throw it and then they literally throw the fucking can against the stoop and break the corners and whatever. Especially the recycle bins. They last 3 years and they'll have a crack down all the corners eventually.
Geez.
And so it's like, yeah.
Yep.
I could rant for a while, but let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
To serve the same economic function in society. As an example, Interface is the world's largest designer and maker of commercial modular carpet. But they don't sell the carpet anymore. Their customers buy the service of having carpet on their floor. Interface is in charge of maintaining and repairing the carpet, and they do that very efficiently because it is their specialty and they control the entire process. Using tiles, they can replace only the ones that need replacing. The old tiles go back to the factory to be recycled, where new tiles are made with 98% recycled or bio-based content. How is that for almost circular? Of course, creating a circular economy is only one piece of the sustainability puzzle, and many other aspects have to be taken into account to get 100% sustainable. Climate change, sustainable energy, sustainable agriculture, social sustainability, etc. As promised in the beginning, here is a great book I recommend if you want to learn more. It is very well put together and it talks about circular economy in the modern age. I will put a link in the description below. If you found this video useful, please like it, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified.
All right.
So that was pretty good. Is that what's that siren behind you?
That is the tornado drill.
Oh, tornado drill.
Yeah.
You Midwesterners and your freak weather.
Circular Economy, a User's Guide. I'm gonna look that up and share it.
Okay. I don't know if I'm interested in getting that book, but
who knows?
Again, I definitely that video was a lot better than the corporate version ones, since he includes social sustainability, which to me is like having democracy, and it's interesting to think about the carpet, the example he gives of the carpet company. It's like it reminds me of the copier we have, where it's not like we're renting the copier, but we have most tech companies do this. And I guess if you make every material or like produce product into put it into a tech model where, you buy it once, but you're also buying a subscription for repair and tech support. In the case of the copier, we pay, it's not we, I mean the state pays to have this third-party contractor. Basically, whenever anything breaks, we call them up, we make the appointment, they book it with with a repairman, their army of them, like Geek Squad, I guess. And they come in and replace the part, and all that's taken care of, and we don't really, all the billing goes to that third party. And is that how this carpet works, where you're like, you didn't explain, of course, it's a short video, but is it like you're renting the carpet? How, I wonder what the cost of, or you buy it once, but that includes a warranty, so to speak, of like them replacing the broken tiles or whatever in perpetuity. But what happens when that company,
folds,
ends, or what have you? But of course, that's sort of a thing with all business. You're always you almost should be working in that in 20 years, this will not be available, which is sort of why I got a little antsy about when people mention streaming services and how you don't own the content anymore. And they can edit it, they can take an episode away, they can But I'm like, well, that was the case with TV. You didn't really, if anything, they edited it more. They edited it, if you watched a movie on TV, not only would it be edited down all to hell
for time,
but it would be letterbox, 4 to 3 ratio. It would be terrible. So, And it's not like you had full access to, like, when you buy the content, it's not like all the cassettes, all the DVDs are available all the time to you. So I think, and this is brought up by, this was based on a post by my local library system that pointed out that streaming can come and go, but the media, the TV, the movies will be on disc at the library for you to.
There you go. That's the true value of the library. Saving those old DVDs.
But they don't keep everything, They
Sure.
they do sales, I suppose, of things that aren't taken out anymore.
Right.
And
They have limited space too.
and
That's
there's
true.
limited space, so it's not what. But
Yeah. I hear you.
And I don't know if certain shows that are Netflix produced only shows, I mean, are they getting a DVD run? Is there a DVD of Inside Job? Not Inside Job. Yes, Inside Job. Could I rent that from the library? I guess I'd have to check, but
Yeah.
I haven't been in my library for a while now, since I've been just doing, held down with stuff. Okay, you need another
Sorry.
video, don't you?
Yeah. Did you want to do the ILO?
Yeah,
Solidarity Economy,
that's a
or
good
the
next
other
one.
one first? Okay.
Oh no, I have all three here. So let me, I don't think it matters. Oh no, to do the IO one first, because that's a cartoony, simple one, and then the other one is more in depth. So
Okay. Sounds good.
and then we'll go to the
Meet Pumza, who lives in the Eastern Cape. She has a dream to establish a primary school.
Jeez, why is that closed captioning going crazy?
And can you turn down the volume a bit? It's kind of
Oh,
blowing me
sorry.
out. Maybe my volume's loud. Yeah, let me fix that. Yeah, it was up to 70.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to turn down your volume too on the mic, but you haven't been coming through very loud to me. Oh, anyway. Got to fix the closed captioning, so that's taking up half the screen. There we go.
School and a community vegetable garden. But Pumza knows that setting up an organization needs regular income. The good news is that South Africa is developing a social and solidarity economy policy to support social entrepreneurs like Pumza. But what is it? Let's take a quick look. While there is no hard and fast definition of the social and solidarity economy, the policy plots various organizations on a spectrum.
Stock
Some organizations exist for economic returns, like businesses that make profits.
Speak English, huh?
On the other side, there are organizations that deliver social and environmental returns, like charities which rely on donations to do good. But some organizations are a combination of all of these. The middle of the spectrum is a hive of activity,
It's true centrism.
a mix of organizations that deliver both economic and social
It's true
and
centrism.
Yeah, right.
Do you see how they plotted it on a two-dimensional axis?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm making fun of it as like I'm supporting it, but I'm also like, maybe this is like what I'm getting at, where like it can be the best thing to everybody, any tendency,
Yeah, well, just
depending on where you are.
solution must lie in the middle somewhere. Haha.
Maybe it's trying to do
environmental returns. This is the social and solidarity economy. So, what makes the social and solidarity economy unique? First, it responds to the different needs of communities where they are. Second, it has a very close relationship between impact and income. Any financial surplus is reinvested back into their organization, creating a circular give-back economy. Third, and most importantly, the social and solidarity economy brings people and their communities together. Let us look at some of the social and solidarity economy organizations that we have. A cooperative works for its members. The principle of togetherness or solidarity is important here. Members work for each other. Here is Mandla, Tato, and Blanche. 3 years ago, they set up a sewing cooperative, making school uniforms and soccer kits. Profits are shared with the schools, and they all
I don't
contribute
know what
to
a soccer
decisions
kit is,
as
but maybe soccer kit. But it's I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what a soccer kid is? Is that they make the kids that play
I
soccer?
don't know. I guess it goes with the soccer mom, maybe.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I have no idea what that means.
they all equally own the cooperative. A social enterprise addresses a social or environmental problem and earns its income through the sales of goods and services.
Man, that guy's really happy to go to the community eye clinic.
He's just like, I can't see, and I need glasses. My eyes are really wide. I'm like,
Oh, that's funny.
It sits right in the middle of the spectrum as it blends both social and economic value. Meet Writer,
wait, hold
a
on,
social
hold on.
entrepreneur.
So let's take a we can I just saw something that we can say like this is where it's kind of making a mistake. An economic impact is a market or profit orientation. So that's what economic business is about, right? To say that it's making economy synonymous with capital or capitalism.
Mhm.
That should not be the case, because obviously in a solidarity economy, which is not tied to capital, but of course then where's the money coming from? Obviously it's not, it's made by loaning it, right? So who's doing the loaning? Is when they say the state, South Africa is doing an initiative,
Mhm.
I guess maybe that's state printed money.
Maybe.
It doesn't go into it, but
Yeah.
I'm projecting. Excuse me.
Yeah. Kind of wonder where they putting nonprofits way out in the middle of nowhere.
No, because it's in the government. It's social, but it's also more
public
government.
service.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And very
Um,
social.
Well, because
Huh.
the other ones. So where's the? I think it would help if we had more blobs showing what's something that is collective benefit. Oh no, sorry. So the opposite of individual benefit is public service, because I guess that's a one-way benefit. You're giving like a handout. It's not solidarity. It's not mutual aid. It's
Mhm.
charity. Maybe charity is public service in this case. So they
Hmm.
mentioned charities first, right? And I guess that's what they mean by nonprofits. Charities, they're not solidarity economy. And collective
Okay.
benefit is the moderate, like the middle between that. But then at the same time, they have an economic orientation, which is market and profit oriented, is also at least on the benefit axis collective. But that's not the
Yeah.
case.
No,
So
no.
this graph is just all over the place, and
Yeah.
it's not a good graph.
Not a great not a great
I know
graph.
what they're
Yeah.
trying to communicate here, but they've got multiple axes that are just like, but the
Mhm.
axis of social and economic, as if these are two different things. When we use the term socioeconomic for a fucking reason,
Yeah,
But I guess
right.
that's just a sociology nerd thing. And if you're, a market libertarian or a capitalist realism, you don't believe in socioeconomic anything,
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
like class and nasty things like that.
Yeah. I mean, is it just the recognition that if you are economic oriented, you don't care. You're actively harming society and the environment.
Well,
And then
what's
if
interesting,
you're
yeah. there's another video that's less cheery and a little more dense, but he
Uh-huh.
has the same similar. He has a similar graph as this actually, but maybe it's a better one that will clarify. But it's interesting to point out that there's like this triad here of basically market, capitalist,
Hmm.
government, statist, and social, which is neither. It's separate. It's different.
Yeah,
Um, and I guess you could
it's
say it's
kind of
socialist.
strange.
Not statist, but socialist or anarchist, and but neither at the same time as well. Um, and the solidarity economy is actually the in between these 3 points.
Hmm.
It's all three of them at the same time, based on how it's being created, and that shows the diversity of things that are kind of qualify as being in the solidarity economy, which is why when we've been covering these videos, we've been covering a lot of different things. And I think I like that we're doing this last to kind of wrap it up almost,
Hmm. Hmm.
or just confuse the issue. I don't know.
Value. Meet Raja, a social entrepreneur. His venture recycles printer cartridges, which generates income for his organization and saves the environment too. Raja also employs people with disabilities. His skills development programs are financed by his printer recycling business. A non-profit organization exists to deliver essential goods and services with limited or no profit. However, some NPOs like the hospice shop run by Katlego develop income-earning opportunities by taking in donated clothes and selling them in the shop. This helps them to be independent of donations and grants.
She's
You think that's
conflating the
confusing it?
word. Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
confusing the word profit because nonprofit doesn't mean no one makes an income on it. It means there's nothing left over. There's no surplus value that is being redistributed as an
Well,
owner
it's
sees
odd to
fit.
say that this nonprofit is in fact creating income opportunities, as they're called, which is sort of like when you go into the nonprofit sector, you will have management who will spend on themselves. Oh no, this was mentioned where they would reinvest the income and do income sharing, but they
Hmm.
would do it completely hierarchically because who's deciding how the income's getting shared? The management.
Ah,
So
okay.
the management would basically they'd just do it by a flat pay scale, basically. 30% of your income, which means the management gets 30% of 60,000, while the custodian gets 30% of
Sure.
20,000.
So it's just a little bit of profit sharing that's happening. It's still a capitalist
It meant
organization.
that
So,
someone who's telling me that this from where he worked, I got a $3,000 bonus,
mhm.
while the management got a $20,000 bonus,
Oh,
and this was
jeez.
their way of avoiding having a profit. So they didn't have a profit, so they got nonprofit status. But
Wait, what?
yeah, something like that.
Ugh.
It was a conversation regarding because we're getting a signing bonus of
Hmm.
3,000, but it'll probably be 2,000 after taxes or something.
Yeah, sure.
But that's usually it's usually the next sentence out of a cynical boomer is like, oh, you only get this much after taxes. Jesus Christ. Maybe it's
Oh
been a
man.
while, but you see, 3 years ago, I was basically just working for tips. So to actually get
Right.
a bonus that's
Oh
more than
man.
$100 is actually like a big deal, like a few
Yeah, it
grand.
would be for me too. 3,000, man, I could do plenty with that.
And
I
if
mean,
it
mostly pay
was
off debt,
two,
but
two is good
yeah,
too.
yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
Fuck.
But yeah, man,
But
to be
some people, some people, even if they're like a good union worker, union salary, it's
uh
still if I get a little bit. I don't really agree with it, of course, but the was it the I keep losing this word in my mind. Um, where you are not envious, but shit. Yeah, I guess I'll go with envious.
mhm.
Um, envious of the, why are they complaining about not having more? Well, compared to management, it is a pittance.
Yeah.
But it's just that the between classes, it's still a gulf between the
Mega
below
gulf, yeah.
poverty
sure.
line, below the poverty line, and above, or having a salary in the first place with vacation weeks and such.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling blessed that I even get fucking vacation time now, and I actually get
Right.
paid. I actually keep getting paid even when I take time off. I've been doing all the things, errands, and I don't lose anything from my paycheck.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
Yeah. It's
still
amazing how little
nothing
it takes
compared to a billionaire or a fucking
Oh, absolutely.
millionaire or the rich people in my fucking city. So there's still people to fight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's because I have to work 9 to 5. So it's like I don't have
Uh-huh.
that energy. So it's like, again, the plan is to do this for a decade and then start ratcheting down.
Sure. Makes sense. Get yourself a little nest
Yeah.
egg and stability.
Pay off the like $30,000 mortgage that I'm gonna have, and join with others who also have a small mortgage, and then we'll do something collective.
Yeah.
I think a collective buying group
Okay.
where it's anyway something. Oh no, sorry, income sharing, an income sharing org. That would be how maybe you do, because that's what we covered with the eco village. That's an an income sharing eco village. So to do that in an urban environment where maybe we all have different houses, but let's say they're all paid off, we do an income sharing, and we're all potting together our salaries in the one bank account, and then we're deciding how to
together how to use it. Yeah, that sounds kind of cool.
With the food budget and everything.
For sure.
But can it be done amongst like households that are not next to each other? I don't know.
Be a fun experiment though. Like either
Yes,
way,
I'd
be
like
valuable learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's move on and finish out this video.
A stokvel is a savings group with members who regularly contribute a set amount to a common pool. At
That's what
agreed
that is.
times, members get a
Gotcha.
lump sum payment which helps pay for all sorts of things, like weddings, funerals, investments, even buying a house.
So it's like an investment trust,
Yeah.
Or sorry, insurance. Like you can see it as insurance.
Yeah, I got
fund.
kind of decent.
You have community insurance funds,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's investment, maybe like a land trust. But
Sure.
it'd be interesting to start one of those just to start with, instead of an income sharing, but just an income
Yeah.
dues. But then it's like any due paying organization. So, but maybe it's more than dues to pay for things that like normally we need insurance for individually. And
Mhm.
that's where you're going through a big company that's skimming off the top,
Yeah.
So
Do
maybe
whatever it can deny you. Yeah.
but I feel like this has all been done before in the last century, where you had these community insurance organizations, and they were eventually, made into corporations. Or what happened to them? What happened? Why didn't they continue? Well, why did they evolve into something corporate?
Right. Good question. I don't actually know.
So much happens in the middle of the spectrum. It is important to remember that 1. Social and solidarity economy ventures have a very clear economic, social, and environmental benefit. 2. They bring people together, either deliberately like the cooperative or through the work they do, like the social enterprise. 3. They can be small or big, earn a lot or a little. 4. They are people-focused entrepreneurs who work closely with communities and stakeholders to improve the environment. 5. They are different, and that is why we plot social economy organizations across the spectrum to accommodate their uniqueness. The proposed social and solidarity economy policy creates a common understanding of this important sector. If you would like to know more about the social and solidarity economy, visit the DTIC website or the IDC or ILO.
So ILO is the International Labor Organization. I have to wonder what kind of politics that fits in. But what I'm coming to with this video is that it seems it's taking, and this is a cynical interpretation, that it's taking the energy and desire for post-capitalist projects and economics, and it's almost putting it and funneling it into using the word entrepreneurship and into these things that are very much still within the system. It's not. Is it possible that this could break through? Probably yes. In fact, maybe, and then I'm going to turn into optimism now. To be non cynical, it's it's weaving its own rope, capitalism. But or this policy is not a capitalist policy. It is in fact a post-capitalist policy, because these new enterprises are the bones, or not the bones, but it's the meat. But maybe you need the bones first. What would be the bones? The infrastructure for post-capitalism would be community banks and state banking and non-capitalist banking.
Yeah.
And so I guess you need the bones first, and this would be the meat. But some people are kind of starting with the meat. Maybe it's the wrong metaphor, but I'm thinking about these things. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my intuition tells me that to get beyond capitalism without some sort of a elitist vanguard party just pushing ahead and toppling the powers that be, and then redoing things in their own image.
Organizing masses, not just doing it on their own. They don't do
Right,
it.
but well, sure, yeah, okay. But taking the lead anyway.
Yes.
And then perhaps taking a little bit advantage of after the fact, entrenching their powers. But if we're going to do it differently and have as many people as possible on board, I think the number one goal just needs to be getting people stabilized to the point where we're not like super happy that we get a few $100 or a few $1,000 bonus because we've never experienced that anymore. Or,
yes.
I think
But
just
but at the same time,
Yeah.
big changes didn't happen because people were stable. Though I guess at the same time, the argument usually
it kind of
is
did though.
Yeah, right. People got a little better, and that created the expectation for more. Right? That's
That
the
too, but I'm
usual
just saying,
line.
like the people that tend to lead these vanguard parties
Yeah.
tend to be the intellectuals that have time to just kind of sit
Yeah.
around and think about and organize and
And organized,
know,
for one thing.
yeah, right. And it takes not being constantly starving or on the brink of homelessness to
The oppressed
be able to
don't
do this
usually.
stuff. Yeah.
The oppressed usually don't organize themselves. Though, of course, I think I do have some books on, peasant movements and Brazil's
Yeah.
landless peasants and lumpen proletariat. They organize for things, and they do direct action.
Oh, for sure. And
So it's not an either war, of course, and that's why Vanguard has kind of, at least in the 21st century, that's why you need to rethink all of that.
yeah.
Because with modern communication technologies, you still have to organize, but it's a question of who, and having a decentralized organizing strategy. And this is where we get we'll cover it. It will take a whole stream on its own to do the left-wing independent party thing, where the article I just read, which is kind of a resummation of Howie Hawkins' book. So, by the way, which has an audiobook version of it, so that we could listen to that. But a summation of it kind of goes through how, yes, in America, we're not ready for this strategy. We're at the point where we should just talk about it to plant the seeds, so that when there are enough movements, organizations, then they can coalition into an independent left-wing party. We're not going to start one and then recruit people to it. That's kind of been the thing, because at the moment we just have a bunch of propaganda orgs, rather, what do they call them? Cells. They're like cells,
Yeah.
the 10, 20 people. Hey, Hey, did you know that, speaking of cells, did you know that Center for Political Innovation is actually having another conference in DC?
I did not know that.
Yeah, anti-imperialist. I'm kind of curious what the hell it's like with post-Mothman or
I mean, hopefully they got their head out of their ass now.
Take two, you know.
I
Well, I
mean,
only know of it because I still subscribe to Peter Coffin, and he was there. He went,
okay.
and he was singing how great it was to be with people who had an anti-imperial, the right kind of anti-imperialist outlook. He didn't use those words, but a anti-imperialist outlook, but he
Yeah,
means a very specific kind.
right. They're way too focused on just opposing you. Oh, it's just U.S. imperialism too, like U.S. and Western Europe imperialism. That's basically all they care about. Which, if that's where your thought process ends, you end up supporting all kinds of not so great people and movements.
But I kind of, I'm not coming around, of course. At least I wouldn't say I am, but I listen to Norman Finkelstein, and you combine that with the way how he came at. So again, this will be a different stream. So
Sure.
anyway, we're getting off topic. So
Okay. Okay.
I'll
Okay.
let go.
Let's readjust then. All right.
We're doing. There's one more solidarity economy. He has a similar graph, but it's a guy in Brooklyn. So he's talking in the context of Brooklyn community projects.
Okay.
So I think there's a little bit more there, and I think he's coming at it from a leftist perspective, though maybe I think again I didn't watch all of it.
Okay. And this is the 5 minute crash
Yeah.
course in solidarity economy.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Kept him short.
Nice.
Because it's either a 5 minute, clip, snippet, or it's a lecture, and
Right.
2 hour lecture or panel or whatever.
Sure. Ew. I'm liking the Yanni soundtrack.
I remember a guy talking, but maybe I'm thinking of a past video.
Oh, okay.
More than double or triple bottom line. More than hybrid enterprise. So, advanced social enterprise theory.
Aim generating solidarity between entrepreneurs, producers, consumers, and so forth.
So,
Beyond a 3-sector model. Yes, there are examples of charities, NGOs transforming into social enterprises and public-private organizations that convert into mutual models of ownership. But there are also many examples of emergent solidarity enterprises that build on cooperative mutual principles. Wikipedia, free member-controlled encyclopedia, open co-ops, and open source, produced, created, free or low. So they're given kind of the general stuff that people list when they talk about, well, yeah, you don't really need money to motivate all these wonderful things. So maybe we can run an economy that way.
So here's a different version of that graph. You can pause.
Yeah.
So this is a different version of that graph. So now we have a one axis, which is state public control versus autonomy.
Yeah, that's definitely a
or
better graph.
self-help. And then the other is grants or no owners, or many owners, or all the owners, or commons versus shares and private owners. So those are the two ends of the economic, quote unquote, economic versus hierarchy. So you can almost kind of have the political compass overlaid on this, but not really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, not quite, but
not.
Maybe.
So,
yeah.
but no. Actually, yeah, because in this way, if you do overlay the 4-quadrant political compass on this, it actually does make sense that the private economy bubble is the right side. You have the mutualism, like everything we've been covering. Solidarity economy is very much mutualism. It doesn't involve real anarchist or socialist kind of organization, it seems at times, because it is trying to be the center. And it is, but of course it's a bit lower, right? It's the bottom half, but it also includes some people who are centrists and maybe a little bit above liberals like that, because liberals can be okay with this stuff. But it's interesting that this is supposed to be beyond the voluntary community sector, which is the left lib
Hmm.
economy to us. So like we actually do want that left circle. We want the whole economy. Would you say, would you agree? We want the whole economy to be in that left circle?
I would, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
More just mutual aid sort of economy, distributing resources without any thought of compensation, just because people need it, and everyone sharing all the world and all that stuff. Yeah.
But here's where utopianism is a matter of practice. I think if having that middle circle is, in fact, if we look at it maybe as the Overton window, we're shifting everything away from the other two circles, which are
Hmm.
statist and capitalist, and
Right.
we're shifting it towards like something that's, still overlapping with them, but shifting towards the left lib quadrant.
Yep.
Maybe we can. Maybe
I can see that.
That's the positive spin we can put it. It's shifting everyone in that direction. It's moving the Overton window, and eventually we either keep pushing, and obviously because like it will create the conditions to. Maybe that's our theory, our social ecology theory.
Sure. I'll go along with that. Sure.
But let's continue. Let's see what this
Yeah.
goes.
NGO transformation and enterprise and nonprofits. Employee buyouts, co-op movements, takeovers, public service spin-outs. Okay.
This would be like the city, like I think the public service spin out is like any municipality that is paying a nonprofit or social enterprise to do something. So it's
Oh,
like
okay.
it'll fund it, like it's a way of outsourcing or privatizing, but it's with like say a bid.
Sure.
When it like our city doesn't, at least I don't think it does. But let's say maybe the funding isn't everything, but it gives authority to a bid to manage the
Hmm.
streetscape. So this community org will be given responsibility for this, or what have you,
Sure.
and or it's a community garden, and it's like you have responsibility for this park, and the city will provide the mulch, from or whatever the compost, and
Sure.
you know,
Well, one second. What's
is that the
someone's?
missus?
Yeah, someone stole your package.
Well, apparently I just had something delivered. I went down there and it's not there.
Oh, jeez. And you just found that bag laying around?
That was delivered yesterday, and that's what it came in because of this.
So you didn't get your thing.
No, why would you mark it delivered if it wasn't there?
Well, it looks like it was there and someone took it.
No. This is from yesterday.
Okay.
I had something that was delivered today. There ain't shit in that mailbox.
That sucks.
I'm tired of this.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in the middle of something. I'm sorry.
No. We're there for you.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
This has been
I thought we
happening
were
a lot.
beyond this. No, I mean it hasn't. It did at our old place quite a bit, because people just leave the security door open and
Oh, I
people
see. So
wander in.
there was
help
a
themselves.
expectation that in your new place it would stop, but
Yeah,
it
well, I mean, we
hasn't.
have one of those like fancy Luxor delivery boxes where like you have to enter in a code and then it's like an Amazon locker, but it's for
Uh-huh.
apartment buildings. So,
Yeah.
but the delivery guys, for whatever reason, have not been using it a lot. I don't know if they just haven't been given the code because
It takes
should know
longer
that.
to put it in, right? I mean, they got to keep
I
their
know,
schedule.
but jeez, yeah. But when I was a delivery driver, I like delivering to those Luxors. It's really fast and you have a better success rate. So like,
I
sure, if you're just thinking about your numbers
Yeah.
and getting out of there as soon as possible,
It's
yeah,
gonna
I
be. I'm gonna
suppose.
sound. I'm gonna be I'm gonna sound callous, but like, if
Hmm.
it's really important that you get it, then don't get it delivered.
Yeah, I mean that.
And if you're ordering a lot of stuff, by mail, and only maybe 10% of it gets taken or whatever, that's still a good ratio.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we've had
focusing on
better
what,
success here for sure. Um,
But yeah,
yeah,
she
for the most
sounded
part.
upset, and it was really, really.
Yeah, I feel bad, but I will follow up with her later for sure, and we'll get it sorted out. Hopefully, we'll be able to get a refund or whatever. But the Postal Service is usually the best of all of them about this because they have access to the actual mailboxes. It should have been put in our mailbox because it was just a small package, but who knows what
But she
happened.
got the confirmation code that it was
That it was delivered, yeah. And then it just shows up an empty
It
box
could be,
or empty
could be.
package.
Wait, the package is empty. Just says she has a bag.
Yeah, it was a
she
little.
has
It was just a
today.
little bag package, you know. It was, like you get an Amazon sleeve sort of thing. Only it was, a quarter of that size.
Oh, I see. So someone took the package out.
Someone had ripped into it for sure.
Yeah. Well.
So yeah.
Oh, I see. So someone took the package out. Someone had ripped into it. Oh, I'm getting an echo now.
Yeah, my phone volume turned on for no good reason.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Playback.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Amanda. Sorry that they.
Most of what I order is small, so that when it is delivered, it either fits in my mailbox
It
or
should have been in the mailbox.
it's too small. It's too small to notice from the street.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm on a
Definitely.
stoop.
Oh,
But
okay.
we haven't gotten anything snatched off our stoop. I think it would take too much effort for people to climb the stoop.
Yeah.
That's one of the positives of a row house, I guess.
All right. Well, hey, another benefit. All right. Well, let's get back into the video
Yes.
here.
It's a relaxing video.
Yeah. Multi-stakeholder ventures with equity finance, open co-ops, open source. Okay. That's kind of supposed to be in the middle of all of this. Only
Community benefit. Only investor benefit. Member benefit. Member community benefit. Or member investor benefit.
Mutual benefit. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a car.
Well, everyone except stockholders. So,
Yeah.
At the very least, we want to cut out that private economy circle.
For
so
sure.
everything that's to the left of that circle, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's definitely a step forward for sure.
Because I want an economy where everyone's a member. To have all these members, but then you have this member org competing with this other member org. I feel like there's still room for all that.
Sure. Ford Foundation.
Yeah, I don't know how you call the Ford Foundation community sector. That is not
at all.
Maybe that's the weakness of this these categories actually.
Yeah.
Is to say
Too amorphous.
nonprofits are on the left side there, like that left libertarian sector, though it's not literal one-to-one, but let's say we're using that overlay. But based on the axis they have here, nonprofits should not go in that left circle. But yet, if you're
especially
going
not foundations, Jesus Christ.
But if you're going by, I guess what we have now or something, or just based on the fact that it's a foundation is purely for community benefit, at least on paper. Of course, that's not in practice.
Yeah, in practice, it's just for laundering profits.
But based on the categories, but maybe we can differentiate between a trustee / community controlled org that is actually good versus one that's bad, and that's based on its politics, its tendency, its vision, its goals.
Sure.
So maybe that's another axis that could be overlaid on these, and that's why 2 is of course never enough. Is a ideology axis. What is the goal of your? Is it just to maintain a need, or is it to further utopia? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something a little more
yeah, that would make a little more sense. Sure.
Radical as far as changing things.
John Lewis.
That's a person, though.
Yeah. Credit unions. Creamy Bank. Oh, yeah, they're putting the nonprofits over in that bubble again. That's
Right, a
charity housing
charity
project.
housing project. Well,
Yeah,
because the middle bubble would be a housing co-op or a community land trust. I'm sure that's going to pop in. So they're just picking different, industries. Like, can you analyze an industry? Like, so this is housing. They did, you know, different things there. So it's just they're giving different examples based on sectors. Self-build
yeah.
co-op. Now I hate the music though.
All right, I can mute that music. It's not
Yeah.
adding anything anyway.
For-profit housing,
Housing,
association, housing co-op, council housing, which is public housing, by the way.
yeah, public housing, yeah.
Tenant co-ops. Wait. But a tenant co-op, well, no, I guess it's assuming the tenants are renting from like the community land trust, I guess.
I guess, but I usually think of tenant co-ops as being organizing against the private
No,
sector.
that's a tenant union.
Oh, that's a tenant union.
A tenant co-op is a co-op where the members are tenants.
I see. Okay.
While a housing co-op are people who are co-owners of a building, so they're not tenants. Though technically they are at the same time. So that's why it's a weird distinction. Maybe it's a very weak distinction that you draw, but
Yeah.
because co-owners, like when a housing co-op, they come and go as well, but
Hmm.
maybe not by the month, but whatever.
Yeah. Hmm. Let's see what we got now. Can you find
Can you
the
find the
money?
money?
Charitable trusts and banks, private banks, credit
Credit union.
unions.
Like where are they getting? Like who's the community shares?
Well, they put credit unions in a different part before. I don't know about that.
Co-op banking, community finance, mutuals, social investors. So this is sort of where when I'm could like consider when we explore the solidarity economy, when I'm reading up on different projects and I look at all the different ways they can be done, I am trying to map in my mind like which would I pick based on my goals and ideology. And I guess it's the one that's furthest left, which in this graph, it's crowdfunding, I guess, or community finance, which sounds about right because the crowd investing and the social investing, which is still just very private. So those are the private bubble things. But then the things in the middle, like credit unions and co-op banking and the government loans, and although I'm for a public bank, which would be government grants and loans. So these are things that I would shift to as reforms, things to put on a platform, and they are in the Green Party platform. While the things further left are the more radical platform.
Hmm.
So, but then in the actual bubble, it's just like charitable trusts and banks. Is that what an anarchist economy would be like? Is that how credit would be working? But I think the point is it wouldn't have credit at all.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where we get into like when you're talking about solidarity economy, obviously you don't want to go to the left bubble. The left bubble isn't really like what you're talking about. You're talking about that middle bubble. So
Yeah.
goals matter, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right. Social enterprise. Fair shares lens. Social co-op. Company. User co-op.
Use of labor association. I guess that's like time banking, maybe. A worker co-op.
Again, I'll put user co-op. That's more in private economy because you usually have, I guess it's not
Why is
quite
it?
the
Yeah.
same.
Why would it count as public sector?
Yeah, that
Unless
doesn't
maybe
make.
in the UK that's different. This is obviously using
It is true.
a European typology or lexicon. Because the use of labor association is something I don't think exists in America. I've never heard of it before, but I can guess what it's for. It's like a volunteering bank,
Yeah,
you
that sounds like a
volunteer to
good
use
guess.
your labor,
Mm-hmm.
and you in turn can then get volunteers yourself. Um, yeah, no comment except I would just be repeating what I've been saying. Here's a summary.
So, in summary, different meanings are attached to social enterprise in the American nonprofit sector, UK third sector, European social economy, and international cooperative movement. Social
That's what
enterprises
I'm saying. It's muddled.
transcend. Yeah. Social enterprises transcend.
Transcend traditional sector boundaries and have the potential to form a social and solidarity economy with distinct characteristics.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to be taking characteristics from all the other sectors.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it.
Useful umbrella term for democratic organization or activity where people are not in it for the money, but still trade to generate a financial surplus or might mitigate dependence on others.
But they're not in it for the money, but you still need the money.
Yeah.
The state, the fiat currency, the no, it's.
Yeah.
But are you in it to to not have money? Are you in it
Right.
to not have capitalism? There are the three sector models used for conceptualizing. Wait, what was that last line?
Yeah. Let me go back.
Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, a four sector model. Three sector
Whoops.
models used for conceptualizing the issue of hybrids.
Hybridity.
Hybridity. Oh, that's a
Hybridity.
hybridity.
Why does it keep pausing?
A four sector model acknowledges the rise of the social and solidarity economy through new applications of cooperative mutual principles. Well, I mean, it's just a concept that's a fourth sector. That there's three sectors that kind of fit into
It's modern day.
They have feet. They have feet in the various political sectors.
And there's
Of
the
political
resources
ideology.
there.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I think I had one from a guy in Brooklyn who was basically giving a talk version of this. I don't know why I picked this one over it, but maybe because it was shorter. I think his was like 20 minutes, and I'm like, And I think the first 5 minutes of what he was covering was what I cared about. So
Yeah.
it was sort of like that Google Talk guy with the liquid democracy,
There's the, in case you want the soundtrack.
Yeah,
Departures by Protos.
Protos from the album The Noble Pauper's Grave.
Oh man.
They're all called stuff like that, right?
Yeah, The Noble Pauper's Grave.
What kind of genre do you call that? Like folk wave or
yeah. Folk punk, maybe.
So,
well, no, I don't even know what you call that, actually.
So by no means the end of covering solidarity economy stuff, though I think I'm going to, at least as far as what I'm suggesting. Is there any type of solidarity economy you would like to explore beyond this? Or do you think this is a good capstone to
yeah, I think we've seen a few different forms. I think the ones where they went and interviewed the people in the eco villages and whatnot. Yeah, those are a little bit more useful in terms of I could comprehend what they're trying to get at, but
some more eco village stuff.
Yeah, that might be good.
Okay,
let's see.
Maybe we can give ourselves some eco village porn with the people who are just kind of building their camps out from scratch and stuff.
Yeah,
their farmstead. That's where they all seem to have carpentry certificates, and they really seem to know how to build stuff. And I'm just super jealous. Like they make it look so easy. But obviously there's quite a bit of work going into it. But how is it they're able to pay for all of this? And they seem to be able to sink a whole year, and they're not doing anything else. Ow. But I guess maybe they saved up the money and they're just kind of working off of that. Like if you save up enough to basically half live off the land, but still kind of pay for stuff.
Yeah,
20 grand,
extras, taxes at the very least. Yeah.
Because it's not like they're doing all of this kind of not quite with an expectation that they're going to be earning some big farming income, but yeah,
just more live off the grid and.
Yeah. just. But I like this. Maybe I'll check out this video where it's. I wasn't able to play it, but it was basically the myth of living off grid.
Yeah.
Because you're never really off grid. You're
No,
just
you cannot be.
going to town and you're picking up stuff, or
Yeah.
you are trading with
Living
people
living lighter on the
nearby.
land, but
Yeah, sure. So, did I feed you the links? Some of
yes, we
those
have
links
the
yet?
jobs guarantee and inflation. Is it
Yeah.
time for a federal jobs guarantee?
Do
And
the
UBI. You
yeah.
want the UBI one?
No. The first one is no. Do them in the order that I put them in. So, is it time for a federal job guarantee? That's the
Oh, okay.
first one.
Oh,
That's the cute clip art version from
alright.
ActTV, and then there's the two that are actually like one's a panel discussion and one is an economist. So now, granted, I listened to an entire lecture or talk or no interview with either one of the women in the like this woman who's the speaker on this topic. So I highly recommend a talk or interview with her. There's a lot to learn from a
Okay.
full 40 minutes of her talking. She talks of the cities or towns in France who have basically been doing job guarantees and how good it just as far as even from a liberal perspective, just how good it is for the economy to basically not have unemployment. And that's a true demand side economy. As we kind of, this one's going to mention how it's better than welfare, because as far as a welfare that is giving people the minimum income or the minimum support, it's not really demand driven economics.
Right.
This one glances over the types of jobs that would be created, as well as is actually, again, it's actually meant to sell it to a mainstream audience. So that's why we're starting with this.
Cool. All right. Let's take a look.
It's not
Society
really
is
that
changing faster than ever. Between automation and the rise of artificial intelligence, global labor markets are bracing for monumental disruptions. In a state like Ohio, for example, a report by the Columbus Dispatch calculates that nearly half of all workers currently hold jobs that will be automated in the near future. This trend holds true for the rest of the world, and no government or country is truly ready for the amount of disruption that's coming. As a consequence, support is growing for some version of a federal job guarantee. So what
A federal job guarantee. Interesting. Rather than just going straight to UBI or universal basic necessities, whatever.
So
whatever
so you
opposite is.
you haven't this hasn't been in your brain yet, the federal job guarantee.
I haven't thought about it in quite a while. I've been hearing a lot more about UBI and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
it's
interesting.
quite it's been a I think it's going to be more of a robust debate in the next 5 years. I think UBI became the brain worm because of Yang. I mean, that was mainstreamed first. So while
Yeah.
Yang was making UBI a household term, you have actual socialists talking about job guarantees and being sidelined. That's my cynical interpretation.
Okay.
Because
Fair enough.
when I typed in federal job guarantee or job guarantee, one of the videos is Bernie Sanders is promoting a job guarantee, and that was not covered. When anyone talks about Bernie, they're not really mentioning job guarantee as one of his planks.
Yeah.
And it absolutely is a plank in the eco-socialist Green New Deal. Like, it's whenever we mention it as Greens, we are mentioning federal job guarantee. That's why it's interesting to see this ActTV video kind of talk about it like it's already a mainstream idea, saying there's growing support.
Yeah, I mean,
would
I've definitely
like
heard of it before. I just don't
if
hear
you
about it too often.
but even if you poll DSA members, I don't think there would be any consensus on support for federal job guarantee.
Mhm.
Maybe a shrug and like, sure, why not? But not a education to know how to argue for one, or why
Sure.
would it even be better than UBI. But it's not really either or. They are, it says, will be mentioned in this video and others, they are separate solutions. They're solving different problems.
Okay. Let's see why.
What is a federal job guarantee? The idea sounds more radical than it actually is. In a nutshell, a federal job guarantee is the idea that the government should provide jobs that pay a livable wage and offer competitive benefits to anyone who needs it. There are several benefits to this idea. First, it would dramatically reduce our current welfare system. And unlike welfare, under this system, people would be creating goods and services and contributing to their communities in a direct and tangible way. Second, a federal job guarantee would set a minimum standard for wages and benefits, creating competition for the private sector. When the government of India tried a version of this idea with farmers, the
This is
program
racist.
boosted earnings.
What
in
makes
low-income
them
households,
think that all Indians look like that? Come on.
Yeah.
mainly because it helped boost wages in the
That's
private
serious.
sector. Third, a federal job guarantee would virtually eliminate unemployment and create what some economists call a consumption stimulus,
Wait,
where
so they're all
low-income
minors now?
households have more money to spend.
Apparently, we're all just being shoved down into the coal mines.
Well, I just find it really it's more of a question of like the only shorthand we seem to have is a hard hat.
Yeah.
Like a hard hat is a worker. And of course this
Workers
is like
need a hard hat.
this is replaced this is I mean propagated in right-wing reactionary manosphere thing where like, you know, or even say the tankies. The only real work is
Oh,
physical
God, yeah.
manual labor.
Right.
Which involve like the blue collar or the hard hat wearing, you know, jobs, and anything that isn't like, because otherwise, there's other shorthand you could use, but is there a universally acceptable shorthand in American minds besides work
So that's
equals
the hard hat. Yeah.
blue collar? Yeah, hard hat. But why are they red? Their clothes are red, so they should be yellow, but the background's yellow.
I don't know.
Whoever designed this needs to go back to school.
Yeah, right. That's not the color of safety.
And feed back into the economy. And finally, a federal job guarantee would function as a buffer against the growth of automation and artificial intelligence, and against economic downturns. The number of workers employed by the government would swell during economic recessions and shrink during economic upswings, stabilizing the purchasing power of people at the bottom. Needless to say, a federal job guarantee has a lot of potential benefits that are worth exploring. So what can you do? The first thing you should do right now is go to willrobotstakemyjob.com and see if your current line of work is vulnerable to automation. The second thing you can do is research the potential benefits of a federal job guarantee and support efforts to test it on small scales around the country. Senator Cory Booker, for example, is currently proposing pilot programs in New Jersey that we could learn a lot from. And third, support efforts to set sensible, livable wage standards
quite
around
believe
the
that.
country. The U.S. is the wealthiest
Anything a
country in the
Democratic
world.
senator like Booker is proposing is gotta
It's
have
probably not
a
good.
lot of strings, a lot of caveats.
Yeah.
I came up with the just now, you know, I'm shoeballing it, but I mean, you know, throwing shit at the wall. But Democrats will give you the same right-wing package, but it'll have better wrapping paper. You know, I was proposing this in the example of pointing out that Biden has proposed or signed an executive order with a blanket, like it is an order that stops. It's inclusion in Title IX. I think they amended Title IX so that you cannot have a blanket ban on trans athletes. But it has also included language of basically using the rights talking point that you can't do a blanket ban, but you can ban individuals if you can show they have an unfair advantage. Which basically either puts fist-sized holes in the protection of this change, or it might even, in most cases, negate it, as you'll have school districts basically saying all of these individual trans athletes. I mean, it's the same way that basically all fucking identity politics really works, actually. To say, yeah, no, we don't discriminate against any race, sex, or ideology, but we have allowed ourselves the ability to remove or ban or limit people based on a criteria that is not based on identity, but based on a criteria of our choosing,
Mm-hmm.
like merit
Right.
or
Sure.
fairness. The
Uh-huh.
standard of fairness, our standard of fairness.
Right. However we decide.
Whose merit? Whose standard of merit? Our standard of merit.
Our standard of merit, of
So
course.
no, we don't ban any race, but we only let people merit in. And so we'll have a Clarence Thomas on our Supreme Court, and then the rest of the black population, and we'll take this Obama, and everyone
Mm-hmm.
else can just they didn't have the merit, and
Yeah.
uh, and they'll be convinced, hey, it's bootstrap theory.
Right.
So that's quite a tangent there, but where the hell did I start with that? Oh yeah, that Cory Booker probably is
Oh yes.
proposing a job guarantee. It hurts because you'll have these policies that we as socialists will fight for and should be fighting for, but then Dems will basically water it down and do a version that basically sabotages it in the public mind, or they'll do it and it'll be maybe a little effective, and that will be a victory for all the progressives. And they'll say, we'll take it. It's half a loaf. And that's like, hey, better than what the Republicans would do, which is nothing, or worse, the reverse. But yeah, it's co-option in a way that sometimes the Greens win when the Democrats co-opt our platform. But I don't like that rhetoric, because it's like, but when they co-opt us, they ruin it. They make it shitty. So it's like, I almost don't
Yes.
want.
They
I don't
water
want
it way
our.
the hell down.
It's a selfish / purist thing maybe for me, but this is something that's been in my head since Occupy, that like I don't want our ideas to be mainstream. When they go mainstream, centrists fuck it up.
Yep.
Or
Yeah,
liberals.
they
Liberals
lose
will
the
adopt
plot, the reason for it.
and they completely miss the point
Mm-hmm.
of doing it, or why you should be, why they would be for it. And that's kind of where it's like, well, we got to mainstream it, and that means we got to sell it in their terms and with their criteria, and it's like, I don't want to do that, because that basically opens the door to cutting it to shreds, just like climate change legislation. The Democratic Green New Deal, they adopted the Green New Deal, and it sucks. And it's just
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
so
shadow of.
I have mixed feelings about it. But so I'm always looking for the policy that like Democrats would not co-opt. But you know what? I think that's impossible. I think they will find a way to co-opt anything, and then make it like a safe for capitalist version.
Yeah, unless your policy is like abolish private property,
Which
it's
is
gonna be hard.
which is why I'm cool with maximalist politics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking we need to go hard like that, and if that's alienating, fine. We will organize to a point, and that will be we'll push the Overton window by being that anchor or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I reached the end of the video, but obviously the discussion beyond this is better.
Sure.
There is no reason we should be experiencing third world level poverty in any of our communities. Peace.
So the other big part of the eco-socialist Green New Deal is how you're doing the federal jobs, and I think that's the big issue that probably will exist between a democratic version of this and a socialist one, which is that the jobs are not federally provided, like the state is the employer of last resort, which is another name for this policy, but its communities are making a list. Let's say the community orgs are like, that's what the jobs are. The jobs are basically the jobs that are people volunteer to do, but you'd be paid to do it. And so it's up to community orgs or the city to make a full listing of all the jobs that are desired. So it's demand sided jobs, like what kind of stores, or particularly what kind of labor should be done. And that brings up a question of like equipment, who's paying for that? is the cost of the job that's being created the equipment, or does it is it and then this is where probably the Booker proposal will be jobs that only require no investment or equipment,
Sure.
or a job that might require renting a space, like, but I think this is where you go to pre-existing orgs and ask, well, you already have a space you're renting, you already have equipment, your printer, your whatever. What people will provide the wages if you provide the work. And so that's the eco-socialist version of it, I suppose, too, where this is the way Howie explains it. It's like, instead of the unemployment office, you go to the employment office, and you basically get to pick down a list that you're qualified for.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better.
Because
sounds very similar, actually.
Yeah. Because when we talk about, oh yeah, go on.
I just want to make, it's kind of a side tangent, but it reminds me a lot of how things were organized in The Dispossessed, where they basically just had a central computer that everyone would put in where they had needs in whatever community they're at, what jobs are available, and then if you decide you didn't want to do your job anymore, you go to this central agency, the computer comes up with something and reassigns you to wherever you want to go.
So like Futurama, where you get the chip.
Well, I mean that you couldn't choose though. This system, you had choice and stuff.
But the computer says you're best suited to be a delivery boy.
Yeah, that's right.
Though there is a sort of comfort in knowing that you're going to be assigned a job and you're going to have it.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's
the
also
scariest thing.
That's
to not have a job in capitalism.
And to not have a job is the main threat of capital. So
absolutely,
to take that threat away, which is something that UBI promises to do, but if capitalists respond by raising prices of everything,
that's what I'm always worried about with UBI.
They can't do that if it's a federal job.
Right.
The job guarantee is circumventing that. It's taking it out of the market. It's the state's hands, but state is not market. That's where existing socialism, kind of, we have models to work off of,
sure,
lessons to learn. Let's see, you mentioned Dispossess, which I'm curious. I'm really looking forward to read someday.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite books.
Yeah. Anyway, go. There should be another the next guaranteed job video.
The job guarantee and inflation. Is that the one?
Do the panel one, because that's actually where they mention UBI.
So UBI versus federal job guarantee.
Yeah.
That sounds
right.
Good.
Yeah, literally what it's called. And it goes through the talking points that I'm kind of alliterating.
Cool. All right. Get that share up there. Take it away. Oh. Whoops.
I think it's really important.
Try that again.
Yeah, so on the first point with universal basic income, I think it's really important to, first of all, everybody has a right to a universal basic standard of living. I think that's something that we should all commit to. But the question then becomes, is the best way to do that by handing everybody a check and assuming they should consume that through the cash nexus and all the problems with that, or providing those services directly or other ways? That's the first thing. The second thing is a basic income doesn't have an internal theory of production. It's money goes into a thing over there called the market, and then the real goods and services come out the other side you get to consume. There isn't a thing called the market that's doing production. That is some fiction that we've isolated out of the broader economic system and the social system. So we need to actually own the fact that if we want our universal basic income, we want capitalism to solve the problems of production, and with all the problems that we recognize of the current system, we'll just...
That's very interesting. I never considered it from that angle either. But yeah, you just pumping more money into
the market,
the market without necessarily having goods available to.
Which is where welfare. It's weird that a lot of the complaints about welfare, how people misspend welfare, it's because people get defrauded, or they're spending it on scams or junk food.
Yeah,
and those are all produced by the market economy. So you're really complaining about what's on offer in the marketplace, aren't you? But they don't see it that way. because they buy from the market and they like it. You know,
Yeah, they
they
do.
like being scammed and wasting their money on this or that. Hey, it's my God-given right to waste my
right.
money and buy junk food and all that.
However,
Just
after-
Ron Swanson to the max, you know.
yeah, right. Oh, Ron Swanson.
Just be exacerbated. I don't think that liberation from the economy comes by topping up people's Amazon accounts. And that's what I think a universal basic income has the risk of doing when it's not accompanied with a theory of underlying production. The more broader question or point I think that building on what Derek
which is
and Phil were
Yang,
just saying
basically.
is
He doesn't
a
have
job
any
guarantee
theory whatsoever.
Oh yeah, and Yang, man,
Or
just like
other,
so many.
yeah, or other liberal economists who,
Right,
you know,
but geez, like
yeah.
what finally turned me away from Yang entirely was when he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll have UBI, but then we'll also just use it in place of
All
other
welfare.
forms of welfare.
Yes.
It'll just be the way that the government assists people."
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
oh my God, there's
Which you get where you understand where Yang as a political agent is really coming from.
yeah,
That he's
right.
the ultimate neoliberal.
Right.
There's another video I could throw in, which is Robert Rice video on the job guarantee.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I like
So
him.
I will. Well, I have issues with him, but he's likable.
Yeah, I do too. But like in general, he states things fairly clearly and you know.
Yeah, he's just, you know, a sock dem at most, I guess, because he's
Right.
Clinton's
Yeah,
labor
yeah.
secretary. He was at the top, and he's, you know, he's still a Democrat at the end of the day, I suppose, is the real, you know, what it comes down to.
It's a deeper commitment than just a consumption commitment. It's a commitment to your role as a valued member of the human race and your community, and a commitment by the public to give you the means to self-actualize. I could have all the basic income in the world, and that doesn't make me a lawyer, and it doesn't make me an architect unless there's means for me to get access to those experiences and those licenses and those communities of work. I could be the most amazing artist in the world, and if nobody cares about me because I don't have access to distribution systems, it doesn't matter whether finally being free of my 9-to-5 grind is going to cause me to suddenly become the artist I want to be. And if you tell a child, you know, what do you want to do when you're 5? Most of them don't say receive a check. They say, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a firefighter, or I want to be an artist, or I want to be a teacher.
Although
that
if
is
kids,
the commitment that a job guarantee is saying.
though, if most kids are saying I want to be famous, that is essentially saying I want to be paid a check for not doing anything because I don't know what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
So I think yeah,
Yeah.
terrible, but
is okay. We'll work with you on that stuff. Maybe you'll find it's unrealistic and you'll change career paths or whatever, but there is an end goal called you are part of something. And there's some amazing work. I'm forgetting the name of the author right now, but it just recently came out a whole history book about the history of disability as a category and how for a lot of up till the mid-19th century, there wasn't a hard line between the disability community and everybody else. The disabled people were expected to work and contribute to the community as much as they were able to alongside everybody else. And the creation of that category became a way to stigmatize and reduce the commitment to that community to be part of that broader social productive process. And I think that's the deep injustice or the sort of soft bigotry of low expectations that comparing a basic income to a job guarantee leads us to in terms of the vision that we're promising to children. Really quickly, the low employment thing, I think there is an imaginative break we need to get to, that this is the start of something bigger. So a job guarantee is a way to start a conversation of, we can create public jobs, right? If we think that things need to be done in our community, we should have a way to do that, even if we're not already rich or already have access to bank financing or something. And this is the first time, I think, that we are imaginatively allowing ourselves again to talk about direct public sector job creation. And we're starting at the bottom because that's the most morally defensible place. But there's no reason why that doesn't open up a whole new door to, we can start talking about what jobs we want in our community that aren't just police and judges and firefighters and the military, which is the sort of negotiated social kind of compromise we're at now. Lastly, with the worker bargaining power, I think that, you know, I totally agree with productivity, and if we have a job guarantee, we have a very different conception of what unionization potential looks like. Everybody's part of the job guarantee union. You know, it's an alternative to a strike fund because it's actually a strike production system. You not only have a right to go on strike from your current employer. You have a right to go to a farm and actually make food so that your family isn't relying on the food that your employer was going to sell you or whatever else it is. So every time there's a crisis or there's a massive strike or capital labor relations get problematic, that's a place for the job guarantee to ratchet up. And that could be a permanent thing or a temporary thing depending on what your politics are.
Uh-oh. All froze.
All right, so I agree.
Wait, it froze for you?
Oh, well, no, come on.
Oh, crap.
Am I frozen now? No.
You're not frozen from my end. Can you hear me anymore? Oh, now you are. Oh, no, you're not. Huh. That's strange. I'm looking at the live feed too. I'm gonna move back and forth just in case.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm fine. So I'm fine then. Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to restart, I think.
All right.
Okay. Am I back?
Are you back? Can you hear me again?
We're back. Am I back? There we go. I think
Oh,
my
you can?
internet. I think my internet just cut out or something.
Oh, that's weird. Like nothing froze on my end, and I was checking the live feed, and
Yeah.
it's still going through.
My signal was fine, but you froze up. Okay. Anyway, so just start where you left off. I'm gonna be feeding. I put the Robert Reich 3-minute video in the stack,
Sure.
and I'm grabbing I think a right-wing response.
Okay.
So that should be a fun run.
That'll be fun.
Agree with pretty much everything that was said so far. Even the successful income guarantee experiments show that people still need work. And so the only way that we could provide it is to all is by guaranteeing it. There are, in fact,
can you
really
pause,
interesting
actually?
experiments.
It's surprising to me, and a little annoying as well, that so many public programs, benefits, whatever, are couched in terms of this help people get back in the workforce, get jobs. Our entire adult education apparatus in New York, which I've been interviewing for extensively, and it's where my next position is actually going to be in. It's the line explaining what that side of the education department does is to help adults, get a job, to whether it's GED program or adult education of some time. It's all job training in a way. It's all training so you can get hired to do something else so you can get a job. And I'm like, is that really all this is for? Can we not just do carpentry programs so someone can build chairs or, go out into the woods and build a cabin, No, it's to get a job, economic output, work for capital. Yeah. So it's interesting that the job guarantee kind of takes it out of that because that's all a Democrat or a social SOCDEM even kind of offers with public, it's about getting people working again, but working in the market.
Right.
It's what every goddamn public amenity almost is for. It's like, how does this help grow the market economy, get jobs, demand and supply, blah, 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 blah. GDP growth. We're still using GDP. It's because they're all still using in calculating effectiveness of a public program. It's all still just GDP growth. It's amazing that it's still, even after decades of talking about how GDP is not has nothing to do with wellness or the public quality of life, even
Quality of life, yeah.
Which is interesting. So it's not everything, I suppose. The grants for repainting your house, but the argument can also be made, no, that's still about like raising your property value.
Absolutely.
And that eventually, that's some of that money that's when you flip the house goes to the city coffer. So it's all really gross and I
Yes,
hate
it
it.
is.
I hate it.
I do too. I do too.
I've looked at one in Argentina where people were asked to transition from a jobs guarantee program to an income support program, and people didn't really want to transition because of all these other benefits that work provides to them, even though the basic income program provided more income than the job guarantee program. But I do.
But you can
that's the
steal
only
from
thing
your
that I
job as
disagree-
well, so you get that.
Yeah, that's true.
I only say that because it was a fun video from the former, I guess, a Ukrainian or something, but like it was like growing up in the Soviet Union and how a big problem with the Soviet economy was basically everybody stole from their job.
Yeah.
And it was just expected that you would, but there was all these ways of sneaking stuff out because it wasn't allowed, and there was certain pat downs, but like people would like just throw stuff over the fence and collect it later. Because if you work at the notebook factory, you're just going to take 10 notebooks and distribute them to your family.
For sure.
You never have to pay for notebooks. You shouldn't have to pay for notebooks. You
Shouldn't
work
have
at the
to pay.
notebook factory.
Yeah,
And
right.
the same goes for the people at the butter factory, and then because they're actually working and producing things.
That's funny though.
Yeah.
with maybe with Derek here, and probably the only thing is that I do have a philosophical opposition to the universal basic income provided to all, irrespective of whatever labor market participation, to provide the basic decent life, because I think it's a false promise, and it is predicated on this notion that it actually doesn't recognize that we work to provision for ourselves. That, we need to really broaden the vision and the idea of work. Basic income kind of responds to the punitive forms of work that we see in modern society. But throughout time, we have had to provision for ourselves, and we have to provision for ourselves collectively. So if my story is correct, if the tax system is this coercive mechanism that is transferring real resources from the private to the public sector to then potentially redistribute them more equitably, that's one mechanism by which we've been doing this, and we've been doing it in a very flawed way. We create unemployment, we have not been able to solve it, we have not provisioned the public sector. If you provide basic income, you under-provision the public sector, because people don't have to work for the currency. They get, in a sense, free money, right? Like, why would you work for it? So it is like we're trying to democratize this inherently, coercive relationship at the heart of the monetary system. And so
But the
that's
monetary
really my
system is what's
philosophy.
But I think what she means is it's the monetary system that's undemocratic.
Right.
The first guy mentions production. You got to have a theory of production, and we're still like working off of a Walmart Chinese manufactured economy with a UBI.
Right.
Where's the community economics come in? I guess it's assumed we can build that with all the free time of not working in a capitalist economy.
An extra capital.
But build it with what? We got to factor that in too. So, which is why they're not mutually exclusive, and which is why he starts with the whole like we want people to have it. But they solve different problems, so to speak. One is about solving the coercive side of the market economy, and then the job guarantee solves the production side, I guess. Because if you can produce things through a public sector, instead of the state owning the factories, you start the community factory, but then the income comes from, the state. Maybe.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The hybrid model.
Sure.
That we need to rethink what it means to work and to establish a coordinating mechanism of public goods provisioning. Provisioning for families and individuals through jobs and dignified jobs, but also to the public sector to provide public services. So I'll leave it there. On the pushback, strategies for pushback, it really is a hurdle. But there are several things to say. First, I've started talking a lot about the real costs that Phil was mentioning, the social costs. They're countless. Just look at the public, health literature, the cognitive sciences. These are really enormous costs to society. So even a little bit of unemployment is paid in these real terms. And if only people were to understand the neglect that children experience because parents have no access to decent employment, the mental, physical problems that they and their spouses experience, the loss of human capital, you name it. I mean, it's a long list. So if we just pivot into tell that story, then people understand that we're already bearing these real costs, and there's just a better way. And then the other thing, to the strategy point, I say do it now.
Papers over the harm of unemployment.
Yeah.
Right. You could say, because it's like people do want to work. Like even the most it's not. I don't think it's. It feels like bootstrap theory when people like harp about how they want to work, they want to have a living or whatever. But I think the issue is they don't want to do it for any wage, but like they want to do something and they want it to be organized. Because obviously if it was just a matter of I want to work, but like, okay, fine, do something then. Why are you just sitting around drinking beer? But it's like I got to be earning something. I need money wise, but just provisions of any kind, right? Which is why you can easily get layabouts or lumpenproles to do voluntary work of some kind, especially when it's mutual aid. They'll be glad to. They'll be happy. They'll be joiners.
I think people want to feel useful.
Oh, of course.
They just don't want to be under the thumb of an employer.
Or in particular, as Graeber would put it, most employment is bullshit.
That as well.
That's also why if people have the option to be unemployed, they'll take it over a bullshit job.
Yeah. That's another important point.
Unless it's manufacturing, the men of our country don't want to do it. So 40% of men are unemployed. Adult men. I mean, it's massive, the numbers. The one guy had a book like the deaf, it's not called The Death of Men, but like, or The End of Men, but just like it was all about the stats where he's looking at the Labor Bureau statistics of just how since the 60s, not just white men, all men, more and more unemployment. And it's just always going up. It's never like, it's not tracking with the recessions or anything. It's just adult men are just being pushed out of the fucking employment sector. There's just no jobs for them to do, maybe because they don't want to do a bullshit job or a service job, or a service job is what they'll have to accept. But he was also like, he's an anti-welfare guy. It's like there's too much disability payments. But there's something I want to mention that hasn't been mentioned and won't be mentioned here is that people on disability, it's the fallback universal basic income for most, that you have whole communities of people in Appalachia that are just trying to get on disability because that ensures a floor. Yeah. But when you're on disability, your income is capped. You cannot make any other income and receive disability. So you're going to get this minimum income, which really is a minimum. You really can't do much more with it. As was a home health aide with someone on disability, and
it's pretty horrible. Yeah.
It wasn't so much that she was motivated not to do more, that she wanted to do more, and she does do whatever she wants, really. But there's so much she can't do because she's broke. But of course, I would also see her as unemployable at the same time. But I think a job guarantee means we'll find something for you to do. Yeah. Even if you're disabled, well, there's reasonable accommodation.
Absolutely.
Which I think you were asking me about, so I've yet to send it to you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And getting back to the disability part, like you can't even save money when you're on disability. Like they check your bank account constantly. I think it's what $2,500 is the absolute max you can have in savings. It's just disgusting. The
There's a cap. Of the whole There's a cap in not only what you can earn, right? But even
what you can save too.
What you can actually have. It basically says you have to be.
Actually. Yeah, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
So
just so cruel.
so she's constantly spending money on art supplies to paint and stuff.
Yeah,
I
because you
think
got to
almost
convert it
as
all into
like
stuff.
she has to spend it all.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if she's really addicted to kratom, but she buys kratom. I got sick of helping her. She was a total mess of a person. But
Oh, that's too bad.
I'm not gonna gab. By mess, I mean like I couldn't tell if she was just addicted to painkillers or not,
Mm.
or like she would say she has Lyme disease and it's the kind that like she needs painkillers all the time.
Hmm.
But then she would have so much painkiller, not just painkiller like regular kind, but just all these substitutes for painkillers, including
Mm.
a joint every 20 minutes,
Oh wow.
but or a vape pen, whatever.
Hmm.
Some CP, THC, but she would have all of these withdrawal symptoms from painkillers.
Oh,
So it's like
jeez,
if
that
it's,
sucks.
and then she's doing and taking all this stuff to negate the side effects of the painkillers, I guess. So it is, yeah, it's a tough case, I assume.
Sounds like a tough existence for sure.
Yeah, but then she would get really bitchy with me, and I just didn't want to deal with her.
Yeah, that can be hard. Yeah.
Which I mean
All
by
right.
side effects.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Let's move on and finish out this video too.
Because it's easy. When unemployment is low, because the next recession is coming. We know exactly how unemployment behaves and how it spreads like a contagion effect through communities. So you need to have a standby policy of prevention to stop this avalanche effect. And, the moral claim is extremely important. Why? The Fed is so clear about it. We are seeing wage pressures, which means that you're earning too much income. We have to step on the brakes. In which moral framework is this an acceptable policy response to prices? The job guarantee has price stabilizing features. And then the final thing is that this is a preventative measure. This is the policy that's going to deal with the frontline fallout from climate threats and climate change, because we know exactly who's going to suffer. You have a hurricane in Puerto Rico, and it wipes out all businesses, all means of subsistence, and people die. And so you need to have some sort of direct response to provide them not just with the job, with the means of subsistence and the public good services that they will so need. And finally, on the productivity question, we have good research. People that are poorly paid and that are afraid of losing jobs are bad workers. They're not happy. But if they have some sort of security, they do better. And so the response to this question is unemployment has zero productivity, even not negative productivity. Yes.
Okay, we only have a few minutes left. I think, a couple hands over.
Okay, that's the end of that. Yeah, wow, a lot of good points. Have not heard those sorts of arguments before, so
It's a good clip.
very educating. Like
And I think
that
that's the
one.
woman who's interviewed on this, so she has a lot more.
Nice.
Yes. So is the next one either Robert Reich or no, it's the inflation one. So this is a short one with a guy.
Let's
He
see.
addresses inflation.
Job guarantee and inflation. Gotcha. We will get that one spooled up.
I will interrupt minimally.
Oh, no problem. All right, let's start sharing that one.
So what we've been advocating following Minsky again is a variously called employer of last resort or job guarantee program, which is the idea that the government always stands ready to hire those who can't find jobs in the private sector or in the government sector in the normal government jobs through a program that takes workers as they are, finds useful things for them to do, and pays them a basic wage, which maybe starts at the legislated minimum wage, and then gradually over time we try to raise that. Sometimes people say, well, the United States can afford a program like this because you've got a sovereign currency, you've got the currency that is used for international reserves, therefore affordability is not really a problem. The
Yeah, that's
Fed
true.
has made statements like this. Greenspan has made statements that affordability really is not the issue for the U.S. federal government. So when I give talks on the employer of last resort around the world, the typical response from the audience is, well, yeah, we could see how the U.S. could do this, but we can't see how we possibly could afford a program like this. But the reality is that any country that issues its own currency, and especially if it doesn't peg its currency, can afford to hire its own unemployed too, just like the U.S. can. You could discuss how to set it up so that you can manage the program. You can, maybe have objections about how can we find enough work for these people to do. I think that it doesn't take too long to figure out that actually there's plenty that needs to be done. But the doubt always is about, can we afford it and won't it be inflationary? And my argument is that it certainly is affordable as long as you're paying in your own currency. The inflation problem turns out to be a red herring because this jobs program acts like a buffer stock, like a commodity buffer stock, which people are usually used to, in which the government sets a ceiling and floor price for, say, corn or for oil or for wool, and that cannot be inflationary. What it does is stabilize that price. And this program is stabilizing the most important price in any economy, which is wages. So you're stabilizing wages rather than pushing wages up. The reason why people get this wrong is that they're so used to the Keynesian approach to creating full employment, which is by pumping up general demand and hoping jobs trickle down to the unemployed. This program targets the bottom, and it provides jobs directly. So you don't get the inflationary impacts that you get from these trickle-down Keynesian policies, hoping that jobs will trickle down where they're most needed by pumping up the demand really for the better educated, more highly trained workers who are in the sectors of the economy that are already more advanced and tend to be more inflationary.
And they're already getting hired and whatever, in high demand or whatever.
True.
So it's the mismatch. It's the skills mismatch where many job, unemployment policies are like, well, we just need to train everybody up so they can be employable. Why not just make the job though? We're practically spending the money. Why don't we just give these people wages, even if it's a minimum wage? My city actually has something of a job guarantee, but it's only for some teenagers. So we have like a summer jobs program where you're a teen, you apply to it, and you're basically hooked up with a summer job paid at a minimum wage, I suppose. And it can be, any employer can, I think, apply to be part of it, as long as you say that, it's like an internship, but it's like, the student is going to get something out of this.
Sure.
We're not just going to have them dig a ditch, but even that builds character, right? But it's usually summer camp counselors or daycare program, or just something you would trust the teen to be able to do.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like AmeriCorps, actually. Like the AmeriCorps program I was in, that was basically it. We do volunteer projects around the country, got all our living expenses paid for, and then a small stipend every month. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right. If AmeriCorps could be broadened out to basically include any community, and you're actually working in your community or your city.
Yeah.
That could be one way of also looking at the guaranteed job.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Robert Reich, so that's a short one too, and then we'll do the right-wing response. Okay. We'll see what they have to say. What objections do they have? Or maybe they'll just say Venezuela and leave it at that.
Venezuela, yeah.
All right.
We mustn't forget the economic frustrations that helped fuel Trump's election. For too long, too many Americans have faced lousy jobs or no jobs.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just these Dems. It's like they have to frame everything in. This is what caused Trump to be elected.
Yeah,
It's not that people are suffering or anything. It's just that it caused Trump to be popular. I fucking
right. That's our motivation for
whatever.
doing things. All in the conservatives.
It's the only thing you've motivated Dem.
Yeah.
Okay.
One answer: a guaranteed job at a living wage.
President Trump's
I like the subtle reference to communism. Nice.
Republicans continue to push for work requirements for recipients of Medicaid, food stamps, and public housing benefits. But the real problem is there aren't enough adequately paying jobs to go around. Even today, with a low official unemployment rate, millions who work part-time jobs want full-time work. Millions more are too discouraged to look for work, having endured the brutalities of job discrimination for far too long, or unable to move to where the jobs are. And a large and growing number of jobs don't pay enough to get people out of poverty. At the same time, a lot of work needs to be done. Greening our nation's infrastructure, caring for the elderly, teaching in our public schools, adequately staffing national parks, you name it. So why shouldn't the federal government create jobs and connect them directly to people who can't otherwise find one, with decent, predictable hours and at a living wage? An added plus, the availability of such jobs would give more bargaining power to many low-wage workers to get better hours and wages. Because if they don't get them from their employer, they'd have the option of a public job.
Public option.
In this way,
there you go.
It's also like the healthcare thing, but even beyond it. But yes, it's a public option for a job.
Federal job guarantee would raise the floor for job quality nationwide. And a job guarantee would act as a giant economic stabilizer during downturns, when the first to...
Yeah, that's a good point, too. If you had a job guarantee that was at livable wage, you wouldn't even have to raise federal minimum wage, because anyone who's getting paid shit could just be like, oh, I quit. I'm going to go get a better job.
Well, so long as the federal job guarantee pays the living wage, as Rob.
Yeah.
And he is he is a Bernie cred now, for the most part, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Though I don't know if he came out and stumped for him. Maybe probably did.
I think he probably did.
Certainly has the aesthetics of Bernie.
That's for sure. Disheveled old man. Yeah.
Well, I was referring to the fists and the
that too.
You've caught that, I guess, but I wouldn't call that just a commie thing. But
it was a specific type of hammer crossed with another tool. So
whatever. You're right.
Yeah.
lose their jobs are usually the most economically marginalized. Can we afford a job guarantee today? Yes. It's estimated to cost around $670 billion in its first year, $30 billion less than the defense budget. But that tab would quickly shrink. With more people working at better wages, Americans would have more purchasing power to buy goods and services. This would lead to more hiring by the private sector and eventually less need for the federal job guarantee. More people working would also generate more tax revenue, partially offsetting the direct cost of the job guarantee. Additional savings would come from fewer people need.
So here's my thought on how the rhetoric always needs to kind of shift to this will grow the economy, the private sector. This is we're going to create public sector jobs for the benefit of the private sector. Almost. And I'm wondering if this is done basically to put in terms that people can understand because of capitalist realism. I'm wondering at the same time, does this, like, if for me, maybe not, discourage and actually turn people off? Like, well, I don't want to do this policy just to make the economy grow. Like, what does it matter to me?
Yeah.
I think it should just, you keep it at the level of, this is good for you.
Good for you.
This is good for your family. This is good for your neighborhood. I think the half minute he spends on this will grow the economy, put this into everyone you know will have a good income or have option to have a good income. No more bums, no more, false laziness or, whatever. This will make, it makes everything better.
Absolutely.
And in a quality of life way. Put it in terms of the non-capitalist, basically.
Yeah.
But this is what it comes down to. Like Robert, when you like, again, we can like guys like Robert Reich, but it's like I don't like him overall because he's a capitalist. He's still a capitalist.
He's
he still
not willing to
cares.
quite give that up. Yeah.
He wants to fix this. This is a way of fixing capitalism's deficits, because, but not saving us from capitalism. It's saving capitalism from itself, which is what the first New Deal, which wasn't a full socialist New Deal, right? It was the compromise. It was the way of saving capitalism, and it did it by basically having a job guarantee. It did a job guarantee.
WPA,
but for what was it? 6 years? I mean, I suppose it was 10 years if you include World War II and the war economy, because that was also like a guaranteed job.
Yeah.
You know, you're Isaac Asimov, and you are guaranteed a job welding ships together. Because that's what he spent the 40s doing.
All right, continuing on.
Needing public assistance. The Center for Labor Research and Education at Berkeley estimates that the federal government now spends over $150 billion a year because workers aren't earning enough to get out of poverty. So doesn't it make more sense to use this money to create guaranteed jobs at a living wage?
Yeah.
So let's think beyond Trump.
Welfare money is just going to landlords and other private owners. You know,
goes right back.
Though technically, the wages given to all these workers are also still going to profit seekers. So
indeed, again, it does not. It's not going to solve everything for sure, but
baby steps.
Definitely free a lot more people.
Baby steps,
which is the important part. Yeah.
What Americans need. Few things are more important than a decent job. Full employment through a federal job guarantee makes sense for workers, for the economy, for America.
Not bad. That was a good one. Succinct. Caught my attention.
Graphics and his talking head. So.
Yeah, right.
Best of both.
It's a good video essay, that one. All right, so we have the last one you wanted to check out, the one with Emma Vigeland.
Rebel HQ.
Rebel HQ.
Which anything with Rebel in the name is more like a Confederate channel.
Yeah, and this is back when Emma was with TYT, I guess. All right. Did I share it? Yes, I did share it. Okay.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's bold platform that Sean Hannity mocked on his program, which was hilarious. He included support seniors on there as if it was a bad thing, was a federal jobs guarantee.
Oh, wait, maybe
to the conservative orthodoxy, that sounds ludicrous. These darn social...
Oh, well, maybe. Oh, no, okay, so this is just another explainer then. Okay, so how about I, wait, hold on.
You want to do a different one instead?
Yeah, let's see, job guarantee, right wing response. Let's see if I get anything useful from that. Let's see. No. No. I think every video's got to be pro. But let's see. No, because when you put right wing in, you're not going to get a right wing version.
Maybe just conservative would do it.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe if I just type opposition. Let's see. Okay, this has got to be close. This is got to be close enough. We got Tucker Carlson of Fox News. So.
Oh well, yeah. Always be counted on for the most reactionary.
I was actually thinking of why don't I just type in job guarantee Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, there you go.
So I figured he would do a segment. So let's see.
He's always good.
All
for
right,
saying
so let's
unhinged bullshit.
good old talk. Let's do it. Let's do a tuck check. Tuck check.
Yeah, yeah. RM Brown there. Yeah.
Beat a kid at Walmart.
I love his little sound effects.
Hey Zach, where are we watching this? That's on YouTube.
That's on YouTube. Oh yeah, they're just ingrained in my head now at this point.
Look at the red and blue map he has. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
it's like, see, the red is the majority. The blue
because land votes.
Yeah.
Those wide open prairies, they're just coming out in droves.
Psychocracy for the win.
Yeah. Did they just get bored when they got to Alaska and Hawaii? Alaska and Hawaii are just solid colors. That's funny.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Juno doesn't show
Americans
up.
Possess a lot of rights, and the number is growing. The Constitution guarantees the rights of free speech, free religion, and the right to bear arms. Judicial alchemy has created brand new rights such as abortion, gay marriage, etc. Is it time for yet another, the right to a job? That's what economist Mark Paul is arguing in a recent column for the Jacobin magazine. Paul says the government ought to offer a job guaranteed, paying at least 23 grand a year to anybody who wants one. He says this would permanently fix the problem of the working poor. Is it madness or brilliance? Maybe both. Professor Paul joins us tonight from Raleigh, North Carolina. Professor, thanks for coming on.
I'm just going to speed it up a little bit just in
thanks
case
for coming on
from Fox News.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do 1.25. Hopefully that'll be okay.
Thanks for having me, Tucker. I'm not here to attack you. I think there is a huge problem as we transition.
Wait, you're going to speed him up? Are you crazy? Oh, never mind. Right. You can keep going. We don't want to slow down. We're running out of time.
Yeah. We want to get it in at the end here too.
With what people do for a living, and clearly we've left a lot of people behind. The first thing that bothers me about your idea, though, it does seem like giving up. It feels like admitting that some people are never going to be integrated into whatever the new economy is. They can't succeed, so let's just put them on the dole, in effect. Is that what it is?
Well, there is.
How is it the dole if people are working, though?
It's the opposite of the dole. I mean, but it's still the dole is just public money, right? You know, and so public money isn't made by
government
capital,
bad,
so it's not real money basically. No, government spends it, or it's just I don't know, it's not being made. You're not making money with money, right? So so that's just the dole thing. But what was the other? What was the other way he was framing it from the get-go?
Oh, it's just giving up and admitting that people aren't going to ever be integrated, meaning coerced.
Into... What new economy? What new economy? There is no fucking new economy. New economy that will admits that it will not employ everyone, can't employ everyone.
Right. It's just going to fail a lot of people.
It was never, and the economy never has, private sector never has employed everybody. In fact, the whole 4% unemployment baked in. That's a good thing. It needs unemployment. So that's probably what he's going to start with. Let's see. Let's see how
Absolutely not, Tucker. First of all, thanks for having me on. But I have to say, I couldn't disagree with you more on this fact. I believe strongly in American workers. But what I think is, right now, the market is failing far too many. Right now, we have 15 million Americans that are unemployed or looking for full-time work and simply can't find it. I think anybody who wants to work should be able to find a job, and that's what this program does. And when you talk to employers, what do they want? They want an educated and skilled workforce. How do workers build skills? They build it through working. Talk to employers, one of the biggest problems they have is the fact that they don't want to hire people that are unemployed. Let's put people to work. Let's help them build skills. Best way to acquire those skills is on the job. And through this type of program, we could really be rebuilding our infrastructure, which will also help private businesses exceed and expand. See, I don't think anything you've said is crazy at all. And so again, I'm taking you seriously because I think there is a problem, and you've identified it, and God bless you for doing that. The problem I have with it, though, is that people will not work unless there's an incentive to. I won't. I'd sit around.
But
that's why it's a job with pay.
Yeah, it's a job. Yeah, you got to go to the job to get the pay still.
Still wages. Let's see where else is going. Let him cook, man. Let him cook, Zach.
Yeah, right. Tucker just eternally has.
Tucker's a master, rhetorician.
That is true. You got to look out. He's going to put you.
It's not crazy, but he has a problem with it.
I'm not crazy. I just think you're
saying is he wearing a black and yellow and cat tie?
It's looking to me like dark blue, but who knows if that's just how it picks up. But yeah. But Tucker just always looks like he's smelling a fart.
Sniffing.
Sniffing. Yes. Yeah, shout out to R.M. Brown.
Yeah, that
Well, everybody
guy's
didn't have to work.
master.
And so
He's
what's
so
the
funny.
incentive for people to take these jobs? Would you eliminate current welfare programs? No. First of all, 15 million Americans, again, want to work. They're actively seeking employment, and the private market is not providing them. You're going to tell me that those 15 million Americans don't want to work? I'm sorry, but there's...
Pretty much that's his argument. He's like 50
There you
million
go. Flip it.
Americans want
Just
to
keep
work.
hammering it,
But-
flipping it around to the people are not the problem. The private
but-
sector is the problem here.
I'm sure he'll just come back and say, "Oh, a lot of people just don't want to work." Like that's my problem.
That's why they're on the dole. If they wouldn't be on the dole, if they didn't want to work, right?
They want to work, yeah.
But but again, paradox.
Yeah.
He acknowledges that the economy is not providing enough jobs, but also people shouldn't.
But they
don't want to starve.
It just
so
shouldn't.
yeah, it's a shouldn't,
Yeah,
but it's also they
right.
don't want to. But we're gonna talk in terms of what people want.
Yeah.
Which is just fine and dandy with me. But of course, it's turned around if you lie and say, well, people want this type of job, or people want to just turn it back to like they need to have a devil to hate. They need to have someone to love. They need to, saying what people need and want to do and put words in their mouth. But we can use stats and facts, logic, and all that.
Yeah.
Say what people want.
work and simply can't find jobs right now. So what jobs are these? Where do they come from? Hold on a second there. Yeah. Right now, there are 4 job openings for every 10 workers seeking employment. There's simply not enough jobs for these workers. So it's not about people not wanting to work. It's about the market not providing adequate employment for these workers. This program will do that. So now you asked me about the types of jobs. Plenty of types of jobs. I mean, Americans walk outside of their front door every day and see plenty of things that we could be investing in as a society. Building schools, building roads, creating high-speed rail. Right now, we're living in a 20th century economy. We need to update. President Trump has been continuously talking about being the jobs president. He wants to rebuild America's infrastructure. You know what? I would like to too, and this type of program could provide the labor for that that type of program. Right, but you've got to get immigration under control because 20.
Right. Everything you said is true, but let me just pivot so that no one knows that.
The immigrants will take all of the guaranteed jobs.
Yeah, right.
Is that what he's gonna say?
Okay, let's take them too.
But no,
they shouldn't be on the street.
It's the toolbox of if you're making it about wages, I guess. Well, immigration forces wages down. It is a negative pressure.
Yeah.
Let's see where he goes with this. It's always interesting.
Higher than the per capita income of over 150 countries, including the biggest countries: China, Brazil, Russia, India. Mexico, which is right there. If you don't shut the borders, you would have a massive influx of people coming here to take advantage of a guaranteed $23,000 a year, obviously. What would you do about that? No, right now we're talking about providing jobs to citizens. In some ways, there's shortcomings with that, but right now this is a program to put Americans back to work. We already see legislation that's been put forth that is similar to my idea by Congressman Conyers, and the legislation applies to...
Just the insanity of saying we can't make our country too good because then more dirty pores will want to come here.
But that's the argument for why they want to come here. It's like, well, they want to come here because we have it so good.
Yeah, so let's not make it good then. That's the solution.
I mean, that is we joke that way, but it almost feels like that's what they want.
No, that is his solution. No, I'm sure underneath it all, that is his
the capitalist solution.
Might say final solution, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Nothing to add to that. Let's just, because my brain's a flutter.
Sure, okay.
American citizens that are seeking a job. There are 15 million of them that would like to work, and I would like to put them to work. This type of program can do that. And when you're talking about what types of jobs,
trying to copy his face.
Again, we could be investing in human skills too. Let's talk about things like universal childcare. Let's talk about taking care of the elderly. There's plenty of jobs that can be done. And if we can't think of those jobs, I think that's a failure of our imagination rather than the fact that there's not sufficient work to be done. I tend to agree with you there. I guess my last sort of skeptical instinct comes from the fact that I'm around government workers all the time. My dad was one. Some of them are great, but some of them treat their jobs like they're a joke. Go to the DMV. That's a real thing. You go there, you know that. They don't take their job seriously.
Yes, they do. You've probably never been to the DMV, Tucker. Come on.
He's never been to the DMV.
That's what he sends his butler to go do.
And neither has any of his audience. They're all doing their DMV business by mail and phone.
Uh-huh.
All right, because his audience, I mean, the Fox News audience anyway, they are old folks sitting on their couch.
Yeah.
I can attest to this a little bit.
Yeah. I've been to many DMVs. They've always been polite and kind and did their job very well.
Yeah,
Such a stupid myth.
it's an old trope. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's a trope that will resonate with boomers and maybe Gen Xers, but
Right.
or people who just hate their lives and they just don't like waiting at all and have ADHD maybe, and they just can't imagine bringing a book with them to anywhere so they could have something to do.
Right.
Or they always think they have something better to do, but then they hate wherever they are.
Yeah.
At least that's just, you know. But DMVs, it depends on what time and day you're going, of course, and it depends on how well they're staffed, and that's a problem with staffing. You know, if a bureau is properly staffed, then lines can be short. With there's a DMV outlet that's I guess maybe even experimental. It's in the Empire State Plaza here in Albany, and it's basically 5 clerks, and this is also like a COVID, you know, based on COVID experimental. It's a DMV that's basically a small room. I mean, it's not a large office, but it's big enough for the desk, the paperwork, 5 clerks on one side of the desk, and you are basically making your appointment. And you basically, they have, since there's 5 clerks, they can take 5 people at a time, and it basically takes 15 minutes to do whatever you're going to do there. So you basically have 15-minute blocks of time where you make your appointment to go to the DMV. You walk in, you say, I'm the 8:15, you know, I'm one of the 8, I got 8:15 appointment. You're said, oh, that's you're set the clerk 4, and you do your stiff with clerk 4, and you're out in 15 minutes.
Right.
Because that's how long this, whatever it takes.
I mean,
and then the next person comes in. It's a wonderful system. It's like the difference between the anarchy, the bad kind of anarchy of movie theaters that either sell out their seating or they just sell tickets to be in the theater, and it's up to you to decide where you're going to sit and how you organize seating when you have large groups, small groups, single people, whatever. Versus a movie theater that you're buying the seat, not the ticket to a seat.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Good analogy. But like his example of the DMV is a complete straw man anyway, because the jobs that guy listed were building high speed rail, doing infrastructure stuff, not just sitting being a bureaucrat.
Jobs. Yeah. And of course. I mean, and that's the thing. You got to make it like a state job. But of course, how is any kind of, you could say that about any kind of job. You know, it's you're only motivated if you're afraid of being fired. Absolutely. So that's what he's saying, that people will not be motivated to work if there is no threat of starving to death, which is also why not only against state or any guaranteed job, you also have to be against any welfare whatsoever. It's all about starving the poor, kill the poor. And if you bring that up to a Fox News, watcher, they'll just say, yeah, I don't take it that seriously, or like, it's entertainment. This is entertainment for me. I don't take it seriously. It's like that. That's literally what the woman I worked with did when I would bring up how terrible like a Fox News point was or something. But it's not like I was watching it with her, but she would mention something that probably came from Fox News, and I would point out how asinine it was or immoral, and she's like, oh well, you have a good point. I mean, she would basically flip-flop.
Yeah, I mean that's always that fascist.
Bless her heart. Yeah.
Of serious versus unserious. You can just switch that switch anytime and be free from criticism and all that
as well. But also just, I mean, to be fair, I mean, she would just flip-flop. She would just not be committed to anything.
Just not really too invested in any one idea.
Exactly. Which is where like the whole don't be obsessed about what cable news and YouTube videos are doing. It's like, what kind of influence are they having? I think it's people's lived experience in the day-to-day that matters more. And if that includes an organizer talking to them, that's going to be more meaningful than whatever they've been watching on TV for 5 years.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You can be brainwashed. There can be brainwashed and indoctrination, but indoctrination can be broken with a similarly consistent life experience.
That's true. Yeah, those bubbles that are created by these very curated media companies can be popped pretty easily just by talking to people for a little bit.
But you got to do it consistently. It can't just be
Absolutely.
like a shot, like a once and
Right.
once and done.
All right. Well, let's finish up the video here and
Yep.
finish up the stream for tonight.
And so why wouldn't these 15 million workers in new government jobs have the same attitude? You know, I think that people genuinely want to work. There's a tremendous amount of dignity to work, and that these individuals, if given an opportunity, I'm a firm believer that folks will want to work, will do a good job, will, you know, be productive members of our society. We simply want these people to contribute to our society. They want to contribute. We want to let them contribute. All right, but right now, they're not given a fair share of doing that, a fair shot at doing that, and this program can
I
give
agree
them
with your
just that.
aim. We're out of time. Professor, thank you.
How fucking long was that? I guess it was a full 5 minutes. So
It's 5 minutes, yeah.
Amazing, these segments. But hey, it's like they want the old people to have ADHD too.
Yeah, right.
Or they do and they always did, maybe.
Yeah, well, it's also you can like do all the sleight of hand that Tucker was doing and then just get out and then, you know, reset for the next block of info they want you to absorb.
And then the audience has completely forgotten, you know. Not
Right.
And that's sort of what I mean by, like, you know, not being committed to any particular point of view or talking point because, well, yeah, it doesn't matter because it's ethereal. That's the spectacle, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing any other. Just to wrap up, it doesn't look like there's any other like opposed. You know, because all you can do is basically lean back on right wing viewpoints on how the poor need to die, basically.
Work or starve. That's all basically all they got. It's just human nature, man.
Okay, so there's always more to discuss, but we're at the end of our 3 hours. We started on time. So happy Earth Day, Zach. What do you any Earth Day plans?
No, nothing in specific. Although I'm a landscape designer, so maybe I'll incorporate a few more trees into my designs this upcoming week or something.
Oh, no actual. There's no event around you. Nothing. No garden.
There probably is. I haven't really looked into it or anything. This will be the first weekend we've had free in quite some time. So who knows? Maybe we'll decide to look something up. Although it is. Yeah, well, it's not May Day yet, but May Day is coming up pretty soon. So we'll
Earth
definitely
Day
have
to
to
May
do-
Day. That's a Green Party thing where every year we have a kind of like an Earth Day to May Day
Oh, that's kind of cool.
talk, discussion, whatever. I am probably won't get to the morning thing, but it's on the table. Helping out with the gardens at Radix, or at least I think I'll just pop in and not do any volunteer work. But I think if I do, that's basically it's like now you're here, have a shovel. And I did that
Nice.
1 year, and I didn't have too much fun doing it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Basically prepare the beds for the year. Next is at noon. There is a mass bike ride, and it seems to be a pretty long loop. It's put on by the Albany Bike Coalition.
That does sound
and
fun.
I'm now a member of that. It's just 20
Very cool.
bucks. So I'm going to do that. And then in the evening, I paid $85 to go to the Historic Albany Foundation gala. And but Historic Albany is one of those nonprofits that has that reputation of a board that's hoity-toity, classist, lots of political disagreements of sorts. You know, is Historic Albany Commission going to basically put onerous costs on people wanting to rehab to say it has to be just like this? It has to be just, you can't just, you know, it has to be just like it used to be 100 years ago. You cannot actually update your old building. The different ideologies at play, as well as the fact that you know I'm paying $85, which is probably just go to the salary of the director, and because I mean when it comes to the salvage operations, I think most of that's volunteer. But it's I know it's good food. I went 1 year. I think I was given a ticket, and it's sort of good networking. But it's mostly the hoity-toity, you know, the movers and shakers of the democratic machine. So, but you know, maybe sometimes I'll just poke my head in, look, or you know, just like get a lay of who's who, but maybe look for some radio subjects, which is ever growing.
Nice. Oh, that's good to hear.
Oh yeah,
So the radio's
I'm gonna be on a trans stream of someone who's in my area. She does streams on Twitch where
oh
she
cool.
basically goes through all of the anti-trans or pro-trans legislation
Oh nice.
in the country, bit by state, and I may join her, but particularly talked to her on the phone about like could you convert your what you do to a show, and she was pretty supportive of that. So we'll see what happens.
That's cool. Do you
Definitely
want to
want to
shout
move
her out?
forward.
What's the channel name?
It is the Transformations Project or Project Transformations, one or the other.
Okay.
It is a nonprofit or project that has a board, but she said it's like a board of 5 people. Her name's Erin, but I don't think that's a corporated.
Transformations Project, 501c3-4 nonprofit. Looks like that's probably the one.
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel as well.
Cool.
I think I was linked to it, but let's end the stream. Let's not go further. I just wanted to mention that because that's new news. And so on.
Awesome.
So happy Earth Day.
That's right. Yeah. A happy Earth Day to you as well.
I'll
Good
see you
luck
again when it's May Day.
Yeah. Yeah, we should do like a big May Day stream, or at least close to May Day.
Bring all our friends.
That would be a good time to do a panel. Yeah, for sure.
Let's do a May
And
Day.
we'll get all of Left Signal Boost TV together, as many as we can, and just do a big
There seem to be
round
some
table.
new people too. So
yeah, I've been recruiting pretty hard. So we got a bunch of new members to come check out Left Signal Boost TV on Facebook. So check that out as well. Well, thanks for coming on again, Dan. It was a blast as usual, and I learned quite a bit. So thanks for that as well. See you next time.
So what I do. Later.
All right, that was Dan Platt from the Three Left Show and What's Left in Albany. I'm going to go ahead and shout out that creator that he's going to be on, Transformation Project, on Twitch. So that'll be the shout out for the night as well. So that works out pretty well. Ties everything up in a neat little bow. Go check out that channel. I'm going to follow for sure. I think maybe my free subscription from Amazon Prime might be coming up. Although I canceled my Amazon Prime, so I don't get that anymore. Oh, that sucks. Oh, well. Anyway, it's been fun. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Probably going to be this upcoming Sunday. We'll see what happens. I don't really have anything planned, so maybe you'll take some audience suggestions. Maybe we'll just kind of freeform and look into different stuff. Maybe we'll do another video game stream. I've been wanting to get more into those again. So we'll see. Anyway, have a great night, everybody, and I will see you next time.